Hello and welcome to the Great Game Debate Podcast, where friends come together to respectfully discuss, debate, and disagree about video games. As always, I'm your host, Katie Bear Thaleen, and crockpot lasagna has changed my life. As always, I'm joined by the godfather of the debate himself, Jonah Gomez. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I'm very curious about crockpot lasagna. Please
Yeah.
explain. Please explain before.
It's same as regular lasagna, just make it a crock pot. It's way easier. It's not messy. Crock pots are like deep dish, so you just make a thick ass lasagna.
That sounds.
What do you put in your lasagna though? Like,
We got, just a veggie layer. We got the pesto cheese layer. My wife makes this like, it sounds weird, but it's like cashew cheese. It's really just a cashew sauce.
to work
But,
as like a bechamel sauce?
put that on top. Yeah, instead of like mozzarella or whatever.
How do
And,
how do y'all feel about those crockpot condoms that you can put on the crockpots now? Do y'all use those,
I've
or do
not
you
heard of
as in-
that.
You
As in
haven't-
a no splatter condom.
it's like
Oh, it's just like a plastic bag. And you
yeah,
put
it's
it
like
it's
a
like a
plastic
liner.
bag, and you put it
Gotcha.
in, so you can just like and throw it away.
That's for people who want 1 billion microplastics per serving.
Yeah,
So-
that's
No,
that's
I only
wild to
want
me.
500 million. Come on.
I get upset about people that use oven bags like cooking a roast chicken. I'm like, no, let the juices flow out of it into the roast potatoes. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
All
And
right,
that's
you
Stephen
can-
Beaumont, baby. How you doing? How you doing, Stephen?
I'm sorry, but freaking pasta bake is like E tier. Like, it's the worst pasta. I don't like a good lasagna is like as good as a mid good bolognese. Like, it's like
Fuck
give
you,
me
dude.
pasta in a bowl. I'm sorry.
Okay. Mateo, man with the golden voice. It's glad
I
to
don't-
have you. Is that
I
a
don't-
wooden sword in your background?
It is a wooden sword. That's my sword that
Hell
I
yeah, bro.
that I learned to sword fight on. I
Oh,
can't
fuck.
get
Good
behind this
workout.
baked pasta is bad pasta.
No.
It's just mid. It's just as mid as mid. It's like if you want to have a whelming time, like do a pasta bake.
All right, my friends. Well, I hope you stopped by Drang Lake Kingdom and picked up your Moonlight Greatsword because it's time for the icebreaker. All right, guys. The
A
icebreaker.
bit of shake weight action
Mhm.
there from Jonah.
Yeah, icebreaker. This week comes in from myself, and it is that the Game of the Year nominees for 2014, 10 years ago, were
Wow.
Dragon Age Inquisition, Bayonetta 2,
What?
Dark Souls 2, Hearthstone, and Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor.
Why is Hearthstone in that mix?
That is insane that Mario Kart 8 wasn't even nominated.
Surely it must have if it came out that year. It must have not.
It would have been like best family game.
I
or-
don't
or
see it at
sports
all.
game.
Oh wait, there you go. Best sports racing, Mario Kart 8. Did it come out that year?
Yeah, but everyone
How did that
dogged
not-
on it because of the multiplayer, which is stupid because
Oh.
it's the single player.
Yeah.
Now. Like the single player.
Anyway, Dragon Age Inquisition 1, which is really hilarious because we just had someone in our Discord go back and try Dragon Age Inquisition.
Can do it.
And they bailed out after like an hour or two. They're like, this shit sucks.
Which is funny because
Um,
you only went to it a couple years ago.
Yeah, I
You
actually
enjoyed it.
overall all liked it, but I totally all the criticisms he put forth about it, I was like, yeah, like I get it. It's one of those games where it's like the world building and the writing and the characters are amazing, but like the actual gameplay like pretty much sucks dick. So
Oh, that's a shame.
yeah.
My GOTY is still of that time because again probably just being a
Mhm.
hardcore nerd whatever was Shadow of War, but it's an 8. Like it's a flat
Yeah.
8.
It was a
doesn't get
bad
above an
year.
8.
Look at these
like-
nominations. It's like you got those, you got like Bravely Default, South
Default.
Park: The Stick of Truth, The Walking Dead, The Wolf Among Us. Like,
I mean, South Park
Yeah.
aside, that game was
Random.
so fun. South Park
Was
was
it?
so
Okay.
That's why
fun.
Stick of Tooth
All
is
right.
pretty.
It's pretty
I
fun.
just can't
going up
believe
to
it, but
going up to Canada and it's all like old school RPG
yeah.
and
Um,
you're paying with loonies and stuff.
Apparently, Trey Parker won Best Performance at the Game Awards that year over Troy Baker as Tyler. It's just out of the window.
That's hilarious.
That's
Well,
crazy.
Italian is just like it's a video game protagonist. It's not like anything
Yeah.
special.
He also beat Kevin Spacey, which is awkward for
Yeah,
Call of Duty
everyone would
Advanced
like to beat
Warfare.
Kevin
That
Spacey.
game,
Yeah,
was,
they will.
that game was actually pretty cool, dude. Like
Yeah.
the campaign, that was a pretty good campaign.
Mhm. Yeah, overall, super weird year. If you'd eliminated that year from my memory, I don't think I'd miss it.
Yeah. Although Mario Kart 8 ended up selling fucking 60 million copies.
God, yeah, can't wait for Mario Kart 9 to just fucking take over the
Is
fucking world.
it confirmed it's going to be Mario Kart 9 and not just
No,
Mario
that's just
Kart 8
what-
Switch 2?
Right, yeah.
Mario
I
Kart
think, like,
8 too.
The character models and things
oh,
are different
wow.
enough that
That'd
it
be
seems like a
hilarious.
different
No,
game.
it's not going to be Mario Kart 8 2. It's going to be Mario Kart 8 3 because we
Right.
already have Mario Kart 8 2 on the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I held out long enough because I was extremely bitter about Mario Kart 8 on the Switch because I already paid full price for it on the Wii U, and I'm like, I am not buying
Yeah.
this game again, and
I
I
bought all
didn't.
the DLC
and
as
now I can
well, like
skip it.
on the Wii U. Yeah.
Damn, that's rough.
See, that's
Um,
one game that I was like, I wish they would just make it a live service game. Keep adding more characters, keep adding more
Yeah.
tracks.
The skins,
Yeah,
Fortnite it.
I
yeah.
don't think that's the way that the
it may
corporate
get
America
more-
works, though, because I've been saying the same
Yeah.
thing about like the Madden series and shit like that for
Oh
years.
yeah.
But like it does,
That's
that makes
it.
less money, right?
Yeah, I think in that case probably would make Nintendo more money, but the just like how freaking creatively bankrupt that idea is, it's just like
Yeah.
because they've already got that with that other one, Tour, and no one plays Tour that I know of anyway.
What is
That's
Chua?
the phone one though, isn't it?
Tour, Mario Kart Tour.
Oh,
Say it.
Say it again. I thought you were making a Hawk Tour reference or something. You literally said Tour.
No, isn't Mario Kart Tour
Wait,
isn't
this
it a mobile
time,
game?
The Hawk Tour girl's been Australian and she's just saying Hawk Tour with an Australian accent. Oh my god.
She's been looking around for hawks on a like tour
A
around the
Hawk Tour.
country.
Yeah.
A Hawk
Yeah.
Tour.
Yeah.
Am I wrong though? I need like validation. Is Mario Kart Tour a mobile game though?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's not
Doesn't
working.
count.
Is because it's a mobile game.
Yeah.
Do you guys say tournament or tournament?
tournament? Yeah.
Tournament.
That-
What do you say?
Nate, you can't say that to me because I would just say it a weird way. Tournament,
Say it.
tournament. Yeah, I think tournament.
Tournament.
Maybe.
Tournament.
Tournament. I'm signing up for the tournament.
Yeah, so that's the icebreaker. 2014, Mario Kart 8. It justice for Mario Kart 8 in 2014. I guess it got its due. But yeah, guys, it is the Great Game Debate Game of the Year episode. So we're not getting sweaty and like arguing with each other trying to make a definitive Game of the Year. We just got our personal top 5 games of the year.
Discord's for.
That's what the Discord's for. Yeah. So we're going to do a top 5 round robin for all of us. And then we'll follow that up with a look at the top 10 games of the year as voted by our community. So I suppose we can get right into it. As our godfather and founding member, Jonah,
Yes.
I'll get the honor of going first with your number 5 game
My
of the year.
number 5. My number 5 has to be Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I love that game. Just feels fantastic. The movement's awesome. Combat is like surprisingly really, really deep.
Mhm.
And the voice acting's awesome. Story's cool. The game is so long. It is a
Really?
massive game. Like I think it's like a 60-hour
Oh, shit.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's
like
like
a
Hollow Knight
60-hour game.
levels.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I
So
feel
it's
like
What is the ideal length on that? Like 20 hours, 30 hours,
I
somewhere
think
around
the
there?
ideal
10 to
length for
20
for like
Metroidvania would be
yeah.
I think 10 to 15.
yeah, 10 to 15, but it's like
Unless it's
Or
Hollow
That's
Knight.
that.
60
much-
is wild.
Yeah,
dude.
it's a
every
huge
Metroid
game.
every Metroid game you finish at hour 15 pretty much.
And
Yeah.
it's got like DLC and stuff for it too. It's got like extended content. So
Damn.
like
Shit,
if
yeah.
you want to sit down and
Mm.
like just lock in on like a really solid game with super tight controls, that's your game for sure.
That's,
I just
that's the
it's too
biggest-
long for me. That's
That's
why I
the
didn't
biggest
finish it. but-
issue with me wanting to return to Hollow Knight and like replay it is because it is 40 hours. Like it's just
Yeah.
too long to like. I'll have a little dip around for like a few minutes, but I'm like, oh man, I want all the abilities at
Mhm.
the end. Like,
Yeah, for sure. No, that's sick. I love having that represented. Shame what happened to the development studio. Fuck
Yeah,
Ubisoft.
that
And
just-
uh,
yeah,
Hey,
fuck
they
Ubisoft, yeah.
won an award at the Game Awards that was like deserved for them. It was
Hell yeah.
awesome.
They let the
And
they let the
Abe
dev team
Skimo
collect
walked up
it,
there
or-
and went, yeah, was that? It's like Jesus Christ.
yeah, but you know, it says a lot that came out at the beginning of the year, and it's stuck with so many people, and it's definitely on my short list to play when I can get around to it.
I'll
All right, I
send
guess
my
we'll,
copy out to you. So that way you don't have to
Oh,
pick it
fuck
up.
yeah, dude. Yeah, if you got
Sick.
hard copy on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah, let's go counterclockwise here. Steven, what you got for us?
Number 5, I think this came in my. This is a sequel to a game that came in my list last year and was very highly rated on my list. It might have been my second favorite game. Is Rise of the Golden Idol.
Oh, nice.
It's
Mhm.
it's a hard one
Mhm.
because I definitely maybe I just didn't play enough 9 out of 10 games. This definitely is like an 8.5 for me. Where it was like it improved on the previous game in a lot of ways. Where it's like okay, a little bit of quality of life stuff, and a couple new ideas, but it just didn't quite do it enough differently. And I feel like the overarching mystery wasn't as satisfying as getting to the end. Like the cavalcade at the end of the first one was like awesome, whereas like the stuff that happens in the climax of the sequel, like it was bigger in scope but smaller in impact.
I see.
So yeah, so it's really cool. I loved it. Like there was absolutely no doubt that they wanted to make sure you understand that everything's connected. Like everything's connected. You go into it's set in the 1970s, so it goes forward 100 years from the previous game.
That's sick.
And yeah, you've got a bunch of TVs and TV guides for all the chapters and stuff, and you go into like one of the TV guides, and then you choose one of 4 different TV screens. Like they unlock as you go, but they're not in any particular order. So that's one of the cool things is inside of each chapter you got 4 individual level puzzles that will all connect to the whole, and you have to solve what the point of the whole chapter was. And then also the biggest importance is working out the timeline, like what happened first in what order, and writing that down is so satisfying. You know, like you're putting all the freaking lines together and drawing conclusions and stuff. And I wrote on like 5 or 6 different bits of paper, like writing out the symbols and everything that I could. So
That's sick.
heap
Yeah.
of fun. It just didn't quite do anything like groundbreaking compared to the first one. Like the first one created the mold of this different style sleuthing game where you chuck a bunch of words together and try and solve it. It definitely felt like as well, like, you know, it's almost run its course already of like, okay, sometimes the answer you're right there, and it's just like that word swapped with that word, and it's like it tells you if you got 2 or fewer mistakes, but sometimes it's like, oh, I just got that thing,
Right.
just one.
Switcheroo.
And it's like sometimes it just feels like it gets a little bit too precise, where you just end up start switching stuff around until you get it.
There's
But yeah, no, really, really fun.
There's a few games that have come out recently with like word swapping mechanics like that, right? Like, 'cause there's Plucky Squire, but there's also
Master, that
Baba
indie
Is
game.
You, right?
Baba Is You. That's really old though, but yeah.
There was
Yeah, I
there
guess
was
it's fair.
one that came out last year, the year before, where you're basically figuring out language. I can't remember what it was
Oh,
called.
it's Chance of Shannara, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I really want to play that
me
so
too.
bad.
I've heard really good things.
I
feel
picked up
like
one called Crypt Master where you're like
Yeah.
exploring a tomb and
I want to
fighting.
play that so bad. It
It's
looks
pretty
so fun.
cool.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about, sort of that sort of style, but also like if you had a dungeon crawler or some sort of 3D environment and they brought
Mhm.
back the Scribblenauts thing, like of like
Yeah.
come up with the
Scribblenauts is
solution, which
cool.
I guess Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom sort of has that idea, but like just that would be really cool to do in 3D
Yeah.
space.
hmm
Well, it's cool to see that studio like just bursting with so much ideas that it just literally the next year they come out with a sequel, and it'll be really cool just to see what they do next, whether it's a new
Yeah,
IP
for
or
sure.
what.
Sure.
Cool. All right. For myself, my number 5 comes in with East 10 Nordics. So
Ooh.
this was you know, more of a selfish personal nod here. I could probably easily swap this with Co Country, but I'm just a JRPG sicko. It's hard to even recommend this game at the moment because like literally like within like 2 or 3 months of it coming out, they announced that they're doing like a Persona 5 Royal
Version.
version, and it's just gonna have like a shitload of new content and like revising all this stuff and like adding on. So I'm just like, damn.
Did it did you play this on PC or Switch or
PC, yeah. It runs
okay.
really, really well on everything except for the Switch,
Yeah,
which
I
I
was
think that
wondering that.
that comes down to the Switch just, you
Which
know.
Being
2
8 years
baby is
old, yeah.
coming?
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it looks and runs really nice on PC. Didn't have any issues or glitches, solid, stable 60. And the main thing I'd shout out about this game was like it had like surprisingly memorable and really good boss fights, which might also come down to the combat system because unlike previous games, they added this like attack type thing where enemies can do either just normal attacks or they just do like an unblockable attack that you have to dodge or parry, and then they have speed attacks where you have to like intercept the attack while sprinting to nullify it. And
Cool.
like the boss fights like play with all those different types of attacks, and the final boss fight's really cool because the whole game you're like a duo. It's like you and the other protagonist, Karja, who's like a pirate. And the final boss fight, he also is like paired up with a partner. So it's like a
Oh,
2v2 duel
nice.
thing.
That's
And it's
cool.
just like, it is really cool.
That's rad.
Do you
Yeah.
are both characters, because I've only
Mm.
played 8, are both
Yeah.
characters on the map fighting, or is
Yeah.
it still the swap between the
I
characters?
think I would say this is probably like my favorite combat system out of all the games because it's just 2 characters instead of like 6.
Yeah.
And they're always present and you can swap between them whenever you want. And on top of that, they have like a special like mode or stance called duo mode where you control them at the same time.
Oh,
So
cool.
like the trade-off of that is you're less mobile and you kind of have like animation commitment, but your attacks are like way stronger. So you do like combo attacks and shit like that. But
Sick.
no, yeah, it's pretty cool. If you like
How does the camera work in that mode, or do they just stand next to each other, or
yeah, whenever you trigger duo mode, your other partner, wherever they are, just basically instantly teleports to your side. So, and when you're not in duo mode, they're on the map running around fighting with their AI.
Does
So
that open the game up to like doing co-op? Like
it does have local co-op, which I keep
No
forgetting
way.
about.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
That's
so I think
cool.
that'd be super fun. So yeah. Um, Yeah, I'd say just for anybody who's like an action RPG fan or JRPG fan, just keep your eye on the East 10 Proud
yeah.
Nordics version that should be
Um,
coming out like this year, probably.
we'll
Cool.
move on, but quickly, just does your ship get better? Like, do you build up your ship?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll try to keep the ship brief, but it's kind of like an Assassin's Creed Black Flag thing where you have a ship and your ship is actually your mobile base. So you like in East 8, you're like finding survivors and building up a survivor camp. And instead of this one, you're finding people and like adding them to your crew, and they provide new services like cooking or crafting or like blacksmithing and stuff. And
Sweet.
as you progress through the game, you upgrade all your ship parameters like attack and defense and speed and handling, and you unlock like new armaments. So at first, it's just like broadside salvo and like long range cannons. And by the end of the game, you can just shoot like a Godzilla mana beam out of your ship.
Nice.
So
Hell yeah.
Is
yeah,
it
it's
is it
pretty
like
cool.
the gummy ship? You can just put it together however you want it.
No, it's just always like it is,
Your
and
Black Flag, yeah.
yeah, and there's cosmetic options like you can change the paint and like the color of the sails, but there's like less than 10 cosmetic options total for the whole
Oh,
ship, and it just
damn.
seems like something they ran out of time on, and hopefully they add more in the Proud
For
version.
the
So
yeah.
yeah, but shout out to old buddy previous panelist of the podcast, Wes Bates, because he sent me that for my birthday. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed that. It also last thing, I came off of kind of being disappointed with like Dragon's Dogma 2 and Metaphor this year as like big RPGs. And then like just to like have the comfort food of East Timor, it's like, oh yeah, baby, this is where it's at. Like this is just so good. So yeah. All right, Mateo, you're number 5.
Ooh, mine is the as mentioned, slightly disappointing Dragon's
Mm.
Dogma 2 is actually my number 5. I'm a sucker for organic storytelling, and that game has it in
Yeah,
spades. There's nothing quite like
it's the
just running around in
strongest
that game and
quality.
just having a creature jump down on top of you. That was my absolute favorite part of that game.
Yeah.
I didn't beat that one, so
Mhm.
it's very possible the story falls apart. It seems like there's a lot of bloat potentially in it,
Yeah.
so I could see that happening. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed my time in there. I am such a sucker for RPG systems where I get to make different classes. I thought the combat was pretty good and snappy,
Mhm.
especially a lot of the melee builds.
Um,
There,
sorry.
what's up? What's up, Steven? What you got?
I was just gonna say the thing that I just let you go off, but the thing that everyone said about it is like going. You've got a quest to do, and going from the safety of the town like out into the wilderness is like almost unlike many other games. It's like it's a
Yeah.
commitment, it's a
Yep.
journey. Like it's like
Mhm. You
it's
gotta make sure you have
it's
all
pretty
your
crazy.
resources,
It
food,
it
like
feels actually dangerous. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. A lot of games, it's just casual. You're leaving
Yeah.
the city, big deal. This one it feels dangerous. It feels like you're actually undertaking missions, and there's a lot of joy to be found in just traversing
Mhm.
the areas, exploring and finding weird shit and
Yeah.
fighting crazy things.
It's like probably the best example of like a game about just adventuring as a fantasy party. It's like what D&D is really missing with like the travel. Like nobody does travel when you play D&D because it sucks and the rules for it
You're
suck.
trying to
But
move
like
from dungeon to
yeah,
dungeon. Yeah.
what I like want it to be in D&D is what it is in Dragon's Dogma 2. They just the whole travel mechanics and everything is really really good.
I like that. That makes sense. I've been listening to Dark Dice, and like they obviously do a lot of editing in their
Mm.
podcast, and they pull out a lot of the encounter table rolls and shit like that. So usually, like you can hear like they're just traveling from one destination to another, and he just does a summary of like, oh, they ran across some wolves, but they were able to defeat them, and blah blah blah. And that took like 5 hours of table
Yeah, it's a
time.
5-hour long combat against just some stupid wolves that don't advance the story or anything. The one thing I want to say about Dark Souls 2 was like the most memorable thing about it for me, as much as I just wish
Dragon's
there
Dogma, not
was
Darkest Dungeon.
oh sorry. The most memorable thing for me was interacting with our Discord community with the multiplayer. As much as I just wish there was just like online multiplayer and you could just party up with your friends.
I like that's the
That
only
would make the
reason
game
why
like
I
so much better.
didn't get into
Yeah.
that game is I desperately wanted them to at least have 2-player co-op.
Exactly. I thought that they came up with the pawn systems in the first Dragon's Dogma because they ran out of like resources or budget
Mhm.
or something for
That
actual multiplayer, and then they just
that's
doubled down on it. And I was like, oh
that's the
fuck.
story that I had always heard, is that was the reason why it
Yeah.
wasn't like it was. I
But
don't know.
anyway, our community members Dan and William, they had a couple of pawns, and they were playing a lot more than me, so they were consistently like higher level than me, so I was able to use them in my party for like the entire game. And like the writing in that game is so bad, and the characters are so unmemorable that like the memorable characters for Dragon's Dogma 2 for me were like their 2 pawns because I had them
The
like the whole time. And I got to see them
Wow.
like blow up from like a peasant with like a burlap shirt and like a rusty sword to like a whole like suit of armor and a shield sword made out of dragon parts and shit. So
How
Some
good was
gods on
the
the battlefield.
how good was the porn editor? Do we see like Joker and Barack Obama or anything?
no, it's a good point to bring up. I think that Dragon's Dogma 2 is probably like one of the best character creators that like anyone has ever made, and that was like one of the
Can't agree.
first viral things I saw from a video game with a character creator, like being able to make like lifelike like one-to-one recreations of real world people.
So are they bringing
So
that same character creator into Monster Hunter Wilds?
I'm sure it's probably not copy paste, but I'm sure they're like sharing notes.
Yeah.
And
I would hope so.
actually both games I think might be on the RE engine. I don't know. I can't remember if Dragon's Dogma is on the RE engine, but I'm pretty sure Wilds is. So
Yeah.
if it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to see that all over
That's why
again as people make in
the
there.
lighting. That's why the lighting looks so good. It's that
AAA
RE engine
studios
lighting's
reuse your
crazy.
assets. It'll save you a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
money.
What are you looking at currently, Kate? In about 4 weeks?
Oh, until Monster Hunter, yeah. So we got
Yeah,
4 or
man.
5 weeks.
Yeah, I
5
agree.
weeks.
Reuse your assets. I could use a little
Mm-hmm.
bit like eight Lady Dimitrescu's.
I see. I can't say anything because like Capcom's really good about it with Resident Evil
Yeah.
reusing their assets, and
Yeah, hell yeah, nothing wrong with that. Elden
why
Ring,
make a
bro.
new door?
It's like the reuse assets
Yeah.
of the game. All right, so that covers our number 5s, and we'll right back around to Jonah for your number 4.
All right, my number 4 is Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and it's just a campaign that I'm going to be talking about. That campaign, dude, is so fun. It just feels like you're playing like an Ocean's 11 like heist movie, a spy thriller. It's super fun. Each mission just Call of Duty did it again. They just made
Yeah.
really good cinematic levels, and they put stealth mechanics in a couple of them, and they just work really well. They did one level that's like just this open field in Afghanistan, and you're doing like open world missions in a Call of Duty game,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's really
That's
cool.
sick.
So yeah, my number 4 is Call of Duty Black Ops 6 campaign.
How long is the campaign? Because I think that's my main complaint with a lot of like FPS campaigns now is they're too short. I want that an FPS game. I want like 20 plus hours of
Yeah,
gameplay.
so it's
in a campaign.
like you might be able to stretch it out to like 8 to 10.
Yeah.
They've got like the hub that you go to, and there's like upgrades and stuff that you can do for the hub, and there's like escape room style puzzles and stuff where you're like I actually had to pull out a piece of paper and like
that's
go
awesome.
around and
Nice.
write down notes to keep track of stuff, and then you have to like play these different notes on a keyboard or on a piano, and it opens up a secret door, and then you gotta figure out the puzzle to turn on the power so you can go into the bunker underneath the house and stuff. And
it makes sense that they would have cool puzzles like that, though, right? Because like the zombie mode stuff is just pure puzzles, right? Like it's
and
shooting zombies plus puzzles.
It's just like it's kind of puzzles and stuff like that, and there's like ways that you got to figure out, like not quite as in depth, but like puzzles like that in the different missions, so you can get more money to upgrade your home base and stuff. And upgrading your base just gives you perks while you're out in the missions and stuff. But it's really cool. They did some cool stuff. The open world definitely is like the padding level, but it's fun. It's done well.
Yeah, Brendan was shouting out as well, and he hadn't played any COD campaigns before. My question is, like, I know that they don't sell COD on their single player anymore, but is there the level? Like, all gillied up or no Russian? Is there the level? Like,
there is one.
I know, right?
There is one, but I really don't like. I kind of hinted at it when I did the pitch. There's a level where they bring zombies into it, and it's awesome. It's so sick.
Cool. Nice.
Cool.
There is one that just like was like, hell yeah, they're hitting.
Yeah, there were a couple. Another one was like a casino heist mission, and that one was really slick because you're like doing the handoffs and stuff and switching between like 4 different characters doing different things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really cool. They have like they have this weird thing with the main character where it's like no face, silent protagonist, and everyone's like talking at the main character and like asking him questions and stuff, and they're not saying anything. Just create a character for the Call of Duty campaigns. I don't need this weird silent protag thing.
Yeah.
Let me be an action hero. Like
even Chrono would react a little bit when they were talking about him back.
Yeah. couple bonuses. Like, first of all, if it is like 6 hours for Game Pass, like paying you $15 and getting a 6-hour game, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, you just made me really upset again. Like, it doesn't happen very often, but once every 10 years, clearly, I just got upset because of the fact that we didn't get DLC heist levels for freaking Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, that was like the best part of the game. And then it's like, yeah, but you can just do it online and it could be bad.
Yeah,
Would you like to do
you
that?
can
Don't
do it
you wanna-
online and it is bad.
Don't you want to play online with all the hackers though, dude?
All right, sick. And Steven, what is your number 4?
Number 4. Jolly game. This was like up at my number 2. Then I realigned my judgment. Like, it was a heart pick, and it was like, look, it's a great game. I played it through twice. Cat Quest 3. It's just
That's
fun,
a
dude.
good game, dude.
Yeah,
It's just fun. I would say Cat Quest 2 is maybe better. The co-op
enjoyed
was
that
a
a
little
lot.
bit
Yeah.
better. Maybe, and there weren't as many secrets in this one. Like, everything was a bit
Okay.
too easy.
I think the only reason why Cat Quest 3 is I like a little bit more is just honestly the animation. Just the animation, the
Yeah.
art is a little
Oh,
bit
it
more
looks-
refined in
looks
Cat Quest
great,
3.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I still think it's fantastic. I loved there's the inn, and you've got all of the big bads, like all your big pirates, and you can cross off all of their wanted things by taking them out, and you get a prize for taking out every single one of them and stuff. I thought that was really cool, and like so yeah, the world building was solid. Yeah, it was just interesting. Like, they just took out a couple of the really well hidden like treasure chests. Everything was like very clearly
Yeah,
on the
there's
map.
crazy shit in Cat Quest 2. Remember like the Super Boss Hedgehog thing? That was just like
Yeah. There was
nutty.
one that was really good in Cat Quest 3. I didn't know, because I was like, I'm one chest. And it was like, oh, and spoilers for Cat Quest 3. If you don't want to know, oh my god, it's Cat Quest 3. There's literally the edge of the map. There's a gap in the map, like the edge
That's
of the
really
map. So
clever.
you just go below
That's really clever.
the sea chart. It was really cool.
That's funny.
Yeah, shout out to that team. I listened to an interview with their director with the Easy Allies. I think Michael Huber interviewed him because Michael Huber's like big into Cat Quest, and they just really seem like they just love what they're doing. And
Yeah.
the dude says as long as they keep getting the money to do it, he has ideas for like up to Cat Quest 9 or 8.
Holy
Wow.
He's like ready to go. They just need time and money.
I'm
But,
stoked, dude.
That's
Yeah, no.
it's like a Dragon Quest series, dude.
yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, oh, the fact that like they have such a perfect like short term, short RPG model, like action RPG. Obviously, it's very Diablo and stuff like that. But like, I think like the combat for me personally is better than a Diablo, because it feels less click. There's a lot
Yeah,
more.
more
It's just more
deliberate, less
simplified,
enemies.
kind of.
Well, in Cat,
It's
in Cat,
simplified, but I think the boss fights are really good.
Yeah.
Like,
no, they really are.
Yeah.
but the fact that it's like all they have to do is add one new animal each game. It's like cats, then dogs, then rats, and then it's like that's all they have to do, and it's like, yeah, it's fresh again. It's like, it's sick.
Yeah. No, I regret not playing that this year. It was like the year of the pirates with like that and Easton Nordics and SteamWorld Heist 2. So yeah.
I forgot one. Skull and
Which one?
Bones, baby.
What was that got like 200 concurrent players on Steam right now?
If that.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of pirates, my number 4 is SteamWorld Heist 2. Man,
Ooh.
I just love this game, dude. It was really similar to East 10, like comfort food, but man, the gameplay with like the tactical combat levels were like amazing. If anybody doesn't know, like the combat is like tactical turn-based, but it's like side scrolling. So there's like levels and like platforms and cover. And when it's your turn, you like run to a cover or a space or whatever, and then you like aim your weapon and fire. And there's like a bunch of permutations to that depending on like your class. And like if you have a weapon like a sniper rifle, you can get a laser sight that like predicts like where it'll bounce off walls, and you can do like trick
Nice.
shots around terrain to like headshot people. And this game has like a really good class system. It's like one of the best that I've seen in like a long time. Like better than fucking Metaphor with its archetypes. Get the fuck out of here. There's like 6 classes only, but they're like hyper like balanced and like distinct. And like I wanted to play like every class. Like it was really hard to like choose like which characters to bring. And like if you want to, you could do the thing like where you can learn all the classes with all the characters and then like kind of make custom jobs by like combining their abilities piecemeal and like all that stuff. And
That's
there's
awesome.
weapons with like unique abilities like Borderlands style that kind of like make it
If
its
you
own class.
if you want to just grind your character up and turn him into like a god because of how overpowered they are, is that doable?
Yeah, definitely. And that's this game has like a really friendly grinding mechanic where like if you just play the game to the end and don't like waste time grinding along the way, really, they just give you an item that like makes everybody get like double experience. So if you're
Oh
like at the
wow!
end of the game before the end,
And
you can
so
just
then
like
just then
boost everybody.
just go to New Game Plus, or do you just can go back to Chapter 1 or?
Oh, so the way the game works is like the first game is like episodic. I think there's like
Yeah.
chapters and stages, but this game has like an open world, and the heists or jobs or whatever are like locations on the map, like islands and stuff. And
Mhm.
you can replay those as many times as you want.
Oh,
And there's
sick.
rewards for doing better that you can unlock and stuff. And yeah,
Sick.
no, it's just
Nice.
really, really good. Yeah, I
So
enjoyed
is
it a
it
lot.
still in the first one? I think it was like you had 3 party members
Mhm.
in your fights. So is that the same?
I can't remember. They might have upped it to 4 in this one, but it
But
might.
4 out of the 6 is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. But this
Yeah.
game has more party members, and they do an interesting thing where there's about like 2 characters that start out as each of the 6 classes, but they each have like a unique ability to that character that they have only that makes them like slightly different. Like there's 2 engineers that kind of focus on support and healing, but one engineer gets like a boost to hit the healing he provides, and like if you use healing items with him they're like more effective. But the other engineer is like this like anglerfish motherfucker who's like obsessed with some like eldritch god at the bottom of the ocean or whatever, and he's got like the anglerfish lantern, and he just like once per mission can shoot this like death ray that ricochets off walls. So
Hell
like
yeah.
this is pretty sick. But anyway, all that to say, as you're progressing through the game you have a choice of like which characters you want to recruit when. So like your experience as you go through the game may be different than another
wow.
player
Oh, that's
because it's
cool.
like, oh well, I want like the 2 brawlers that like get up in the face with melee weapons and smash motherfuckers with a hammer and like life steal.
Mhm.
Or another player's like, oh well, I want to go ahead and get like 2 snipers right away and like hang back and turtle and do your ricochet sniper business. But yeah, really, really solid. I think it like improved basically in every way in the first game. And it's sad. I think am I making this up? Something bad happened with that developer
Yeah, I
this
think
year.
they
Like
were having
Oh.
financial issues.
yeah, they either shut
Damn.
down or they had to do like a shitload of layoffs. And like I
That
keep seeing their
sucks.
games on sale for like $3, just trying to scrape up money. It's just sad
Oh,
because like
man.
their games are really, really good. But
Their games
Yeah,
are
they're
I
on
feel, I feel
holidays.
bad.
fantastic.
Like, I
Yeah.
skipped build, and I know that people have said like build is like okay to good,
Mhm.
but like it looks great. I don't mind town builders,
Yeah.
but it was just one of those things. Like their price because of their development costs and how big their studio maybe has gotten for an indie. Like their prices of their games have gone up significantly as well. I think that
Yeah.
was like the most expensive. It was like almost like 50 Aussie bucks
This
maybe or
one was only
something.
$30 still.
It was 30 US. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, but
I mean, SteamWorld Dig and Dig 2 are my
oh my god,
favorite
so good.
Yeah. Dig
Metroidvanias
2
like
is so
ever.
good.
I love those games.
Yeah.
I want 3 so freaking bad, and every time I see that they're announcing something, I'm like, okay, baby, let's go, give me 3. And then it's like other things, and I'm like, well, I'm happy they're making what they want to make, but like, go on 3. It's
Yeah.
just me
Yeah.
to like dead game franchises, I guess.
This has got to be a recurring pattern, but once again, shout out to Wes Bates for hooking me up with the Steve World Heist 2
Oh,
copy
damn.
on
Hell
sale.
yeah.
I think the only 2 games I bought for myself this year were like the ones I regret the most, which were Dragon's Dogma 2 and Metaphor Refantasia. And like everything else, almost somebody else bought for me. So cool. Anyway, Mateo, you're number 4.
Ooh, my number 4. We're taking it back to an old school series. We're going with Tekken 8 for number
Hell
4.
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah,
Tekken
dude.
8 was fantastic this year. It came out so early that I almost forgot that I had played it. I was like compiling my list and it was not on here. Realized it came out this year. It is fantastic. They added some new characters in. The story is always fantastic and insane and all the Tekken things. It's over the top. There's crazy new special moves. Like it's fantastic. It's just a return to form. It's more good Tekken. Like it's
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
I didn't play it at launch, but just those good vibes of us up at PAX playing it in 2023, awesome.
Very similar with Dragon's Dogma 2, but like I've seen many shorts of just the character creator. Like when people go to do an online match, they're like, "Oh my god, it's freaking Stewie Griffin," or it's freaking like just random shit. It's
you know
so
that
good.
I have not put a lot of time into the character editor, but I have played online a decent amount, and yeah,
Yeah.
you will see all kinds of crazy shit, dude.
I love there's so many funny things like that come out of that. Like I saw a glitch where somebody used like a custom item that was just like a metal box, like as an accessory, like a metal box backpack or something. And there was a glitch where it expanded the scale of the box by like 10. So it was so big it completely obfuscated the player model. So you're
Oh my
just
God.
fighting this box that's taking up the other side of the screen, and you can't see what the player's doing at all because they're completely inside the box. But
Street Fighter 6 famously did the easy buttons on the last game. Did Tekken do anything to let like new
Yes.
players in at all?
They did have a
Yes,
simplified
absolutely.
version because like there was one station at PAX where they had the simplified buttons, and I was like, "Oh my god, this feels awesome! This is crazy!" And then I went back and played it again on a different station that didn't have that setting on, and I was like, "What the hell? This is so hard!"
Yeah, it's got an auto combo, auto finisher mode built in.
Nice.
The only thing I didn't do with the game, didn't buy the DLC to get Heihachi, so I need to go and fix that as soon as I can. Honestly,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
my
Bad
favorite character.
dads. Get bad dads in there.
My dad played Heihachi when we were playing Tekken 1, 2, and 3 when I was like really little, just
Damn,
beating
I wonder
our
what that
I
ass.
means
thought you were
about
gonna.
your
I
dad.
thought you were gonna say my dad is Heihachi. I was like,
Basically.
whoa.
He kind of looks like him, but so yeah. Whenever I think about Heihachi, I have a little bit of like PTSD or something.
We went on a holiday to Hawaii, and he.
You
So,
cut out what?
yeah,
You went to Hawaii? Oh, and he threw you in a volcano? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
There we go.
exactly.
There we go.
Mhm.
I'm picking
But
up.
yeah, it's really cool to see Tekken kind of like rise again, and special shout out, like you said, to the campaign. Like the idea of trying to like make the story of the Tekken 1 through 7 like makes sense and kind of like tie it all together
And
is
just keep going. Like it's
basically impossible, but somehow they did it. It's still not good, but I feel like they did it as well as could possibly be done. As someone who's like kept up with the
So-
stories of the whole series, it was like really cool to see
Hey, it
actually.
doesn't need to be
I
good.
think-
It just needs to be consistent.
I
Yeah.
think
like,
that
is everyone's ending canon? Like,
No,
No,
there's
it's like
one.
a story. It's like there's one story.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one real ending. You can
Yeah.
get the other endings with characters, but there isn't a real ending to the game. Real character that wins the tournament every year.
Yeah.
I think that Tekken and fuck, there was another one that was in my head.
Oh,
But I
sorry.
think
They do have an arcade mode real quick, Steven, that does still have like the
Yes.
individual
Yeah.
vignettes for each character. Yeah.
But I think the Tekken might be the most anime game that exists
Yeah,
without
yeah,
actually
yeah.
being an anime
The
game.
fucking ending of the story, dude. I think still like the boss gauntlet against Kazuya at the end of the game is probably in like my top 5 boss fights of all time. Like it's fucking crazy. Like you
So
should
good.
you should go watch it on YouTube if you've not seen it. Like I can't
Yeah.
believe it.
It's
But
crazy.
yeah, it's really hype. Cool. All right. So back around to Jonah for number 3.
We are gonna go with Helldivers 2.
Hell
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Hell
Had
yeah.
to be there.
Man, it's short and sweet and simple. You go in, you shoot some bugs, robots or zombies, you blow shit up, and then you get the fuck out of there. It's awesome. The gameplay feels fantastic. It surprisingly has like decent stealth mechanics in the game too. Like you can sneak around big groups of bugs, and like it's very like anxiety ridden while you're like just
Which-
crouching through the bushes and you just got like this big ass bug crawling next to you.
The first one was super stealthy too. Like that was a
Yeah.
big
Okay,
component in
cool.
the first game. So
Could
makes
could
sense.
we entertain this proposal? Top 10 shotgun?
Oh
Get
Ooh,
shit!
maybe?
I gotta check
It's
it out.
pretty damn good.
100%. They also have
It's
that
pretty damn
they have
good.
the shotgun that also does the fire rounds. You
Mhm.
set everything on fire as you're shooting this shotgun. It's so good.
Damn.
Hell yeah!
But
Plenty
yeah,
for
just
your
like
friendlies.
when you are dropping down and you and your 4 buddies, like you just like tactically plan something out and you just make it work, or something just someone throws a bomb and it bounces off the bug and then you all have to
Friendly fire,
scramble. Like
dude.
it's just
Yeah,
that is probably my favorite game that has friendly fire. Like that game made friendly fire fun, you
yeah.
know?
It wouldn't be the
I
same thing without
guess
it.
know the people that you're playing with is very
Yeah.
important.
Yes.
As in, like, know the temperament. Make sure you're on the same page. I think that's the biggest
Hurdle.
dips and dives of that game is like you can have the most fun laughing your ass off and like surviving, or you can kind of have a miserable time if someone's been a bit of a narc.
Sure. Yeah, correct me if you guys like know anything like it, but like the game just seems like, it's like the only game doing what it's doing. And for like a multiplayer shooter, that's I guess maybe you
I
could compare it a little bit to Earth
guess.
Defense Force, but
But
those games
like I
suck.
don't know.
So,
I guess you'd more compare it. Is it more compared to like Left 4 Dead than it is to?
oh
I
yeah, just
guess.
like a horde
I
shooter.
I don't know if I'd compare it to Left 4
But
Dead
yeah,
because Left 4
because
Dead's
it's
like very
you're
linear.
I've
like
been
going through
I've
Yeah.
been
stages.
playing
Yeah,
Dark Tide too, and I wouldn't compare it to that one either. Like
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
it is
Yeah.
definitely doing its own thing. It is
Yeah.
interesting that it's this open world FPS with guided missions. Warzone honestly might be the
yeah.
closest
The
to
whole like,
Helldivers.
mm,
Or hilariously, but the opposite, like a hard version of Dynasty Warriors, because you are fighting 1,000 enemies,
yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's actually challenging.
kind of
Yeah.
a good,
Mhm.
comparison. Sick. Yeah, no, it's good for those developers. It's
Yeah.
really just awesome to see that blow up. And they're doing the Lord's work because they were a case in point of like, hey, make your games launch on all platforms. Like,
Mm.
and so now like Sony and like Square Enix are like,
And
fuck, we got to get those PC numbers at launch, bro.
and
So
publishers,
Yep.
please don't overreach with your stupid
Did they
requests of
did they
having a Sony account and
yeah,
stuff.
did they put it on Xbox yet? Is Helldivers on Xbox?
God, is it really not? What is
Oh,
with
I guess it's
Xbox,
not.
dude? Like,
It's not
they
X
just are.
it's not
Well,
Xbox.
allegedly it's
It's
PlayStation, right?
yeah,
That's
it's PlayStation wanting to
PlayStation's
keep
mum
it
want to share.
an exclusive.
Yeah.
But dude, that is a
Oh,
perfect
okay,
that is
gotcha.
a
It feels like the
perfect
perfect thing.
crossplay game,
Yeah.
man.
I didn't realize.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Although the crossplay was not perfect at launch. It took a long time for us to be able to successfully be like, oh, are you getting in? Oh, I'm in. Oh, no, I'm not in. Oh, game. Turn it off like 5 times. Maybe you'll get in.
Oh,
Especially
right,
between
right.
PlayStation and PC.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
rough.
Sick. Helldivers 2.
Hell
All right,
yeah.
Steven, you're number 3. It's you, Steven.
Sorry, that is me. I am number 3. Oh man, number 3. I knew I would like it. I didn't like. I guess I don't know. I prefer a slightly different style of card game, but it is the card game of the year. It
Oh,
is
yeah.
Civillatro.
Yep.
This is unquestionably a perfectly designed game. The loop works
Mhm.
very well. Like even for me, I was like, did it, finished it, cool. I did the game. I'll delete it. I didn't delete it. You know, you wait a couple of days, you have that cool off, and you go, I'll do a run. I got like 20 minutes. I'll do a run. You know, and I think it's easy enough that I think it takes me about 3 goes to get a run. Like usually it's just
Hell yeah.
three re-rolls to get that good like combo to start up with, and then you're pretty safe. I feel like as long as you do know a bit about poker, really,
Yeah.
or just
Mhm.
card combinations.
But I mean, even if you go in not knowing it, you learn it quick.
It teaches you. It
Yeah.
teaches you pretty quickly. Yeah. I definitely feel like obviously there's so many hard modes. Like you've got all your hard modes, your Nuzlockes, your Dark Souls runs, like set to go. It's like, oh, I want to do high card or something like that. Just do the most insanely hard version of the game, and there's so many unlocks of jokers and all that sort of stuff. That kind of stuff is cool. It's got good replayability, great visuals. You know, it's just solid all around. It's the Tetris of the year. Like it is the puzzle game of the year for sure, 100%.
There's so much in it, dude. I've got one challenge left. I'm on the last
Wow.
challenge, and I've
Wow.
beat all the challenges in the game. But the last challenge is you have to do it Joker free.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What?
Yeah,
You gotta
So you just
win
gotta play
Joker
good
free?
Tetris.
and I can only get up to about ante 6 or 7 without a Joker.
That's crazy, bro.
Damn.
I just got my
Yeah.
last planet card the other day. I finally got the Flush 5.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
There's so much in
yeah.
that game.
So just yeah, fantastic. And I was like, nah, I'm not that into poker. I used to play poker like, you know, when I was 20 and stuff like that, or 18 through to 20-ish. I used to play poker and go to tournaments and stuff, like be bad, but just go to free tournaments and stuff. Because it was very hot with the poker series and all that sort of stuff on TV and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, no, really good, fantastic.
Yeah.
No complaints about that game. I think it's the best game of the year. That it's just not exactly for me because I like static card games with TCGs and stuff like that.
But like
but yeah,
that
fantastic.
that being said, it's crazy how they were able to take the game of poker and turn it into a deck builder, a roguelike deck
100%.
builder, which is cool because it's
Yeah.
like okay, I've got like a 100+ card deck now, and it's all just different poker cards with different
And-
like variants of them. And
There
Yeah.
have been a lot of pretenders too, and no one has quite captured the magic of Balatro. Because I tried Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers, didn't quite hit the
That
itch.
was the blackjack one.
That was the
Yeah.
blackjack one. There was a roulette one that came out that I played. It's
Yeah, right.
just all right. All the pretenders just kind of
yeah,
they're okay.
Yeah.
it's
and
crazy,
even
dude.
Bithell Games before this, they did the solitaire conspiracy.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly roguelite, but the idea of like changing a classic game in an interesting way, and it didn't quite hit either for me personally. But yeah, this one was just super solid. The fact that I was like, yeah, all I need to do is beat it once, I know the game, then it's like, no, it's really fun. I'll just half an hour, hell yeah.
Just like another one of those games that can be put in there with like Vampire Survivors, Tetris,
Yeah,
like games like that,
100%.
where
just
it's
one
just like
one more go.
Oh
yeah.
more
man,
go.
Like have it
least
downloaded on anything you've got because it takes up kilobytes of space. And just
man, Balatro does not make my eyes feel like they're bleeding though, like Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors feels like you're just so focused in on the screen.
Oh, why didn't? Oh no, you didn't. You did play that one. Why didn't? You should rethink your list, Jonah, because you also played a Vampire Survivors game that you really enjoyed recently.
Survivors game.
Spell Brigade.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, that one's good. I think that one's still early access, right?
It is early access
okay.
still. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
That game's
It's all right.
it's fun.
It's not bad.
It's fun.
Yeah, shout out to friend of the show, Wow, who works at the publisher PlayStack.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
do you ever think about like you remember the unhinged like Friends of Balatro trailer with Ben Starr, Clive, Final Fantasy
Yeah.
16, where he's like throwing a banana dressed up as the Joker? Like it's like, do we know someone who knows Ben Starr? You know, Like, some of those-
every time I'm at PAX, I'm like, I gotta find Ben Starr to try and like.
yeah, he's
meet the guy.
incredible,
Yeah.
dude.
He's always
yeah,
he's at every PAX, so like.
Oh wow.
He'll be my
He's a
bounty
gem.
this
He's an
year.
absolute gem.
Yeah, I love Ben Starr. Sick. All right. That'll be Steven for number 3. No, wait, sorry. That was just your number 3. It's myself for number 3. This one comes in with mouthwashing. Thanks to Mateo over here, the man with the golden voice, for the birthday gift. Mouthwashing. Holy shit, this game just like blew me away. It might have hit extra hard for me just because I played it right off the back of Metaphor, which I was like really down on. And I was like, this is gaming, mouthwashing. But it's a sick little 2-hour indie game, and
It's a horror
like
game, right?
yeah, it's like psychological horror. Like, even if you don't want to play it, just like watch your favorite streamer or whoever, like play it on YouTube. And because it's just about the spectacle. Like, it's kind of like you're just walking around solving minor puzzles, and there's like a really shitty stealth sequence in the middle of the game. And like, besides that, you're just like, things are getting more and more and more depraved until you're like cutting your best friend's leg off with a kitchen knife at a birthday
Yes.
party. Like it's just the premise to tantalize people is like you're like a deep space like long haul freighter crew, like just hauling mystery cargo for a corporation across space, and like something causes a crash and the crew's like marooned in space hoping to be saved, and they're like, let's break into the cargo hold against our contract and just see what's in there. It might be food, it might be parts we could repair the ship with, and it's fucking mouthwash. Just like tens of thousands of bottles of mouthwash, and so they all just start drinking it, and like because it's all they have to drink, and like they just get like they start just getting like fucking like hallucinogenically drunk and like killing each other, and like it's just it's
Holy shit.
really good.
What a
It's really
weird
good.
concept, dude.
Yeah. It's
It's
absolutely amazing.
That definitely has to be
love
based on a real story that like
Yeah.
one night hit
I
someone
love
in the
low
boys
res
just
horror movie or horror
Yeah.
games. All these lo-fi horror games that have come out recently. It's so good.
Yeah. No, yeah. So go check it out. It's cheap. 2 hours. Play it on the weekend. But Mateo, you're number 3.
Ooh, this is my pirate game of the year. We are talking the tactical turn-based strategy game, Rogue Waters.
Oh man, I'm
Oh
so sad that
man.
I like actually didn't pick
Same.
it up yet. But
It's
dude,
Yeah.
that game looks so
so
good.
good. It's so good. It itches such like a scratch that I had for a good strategy game this year. Because it gives me vibes of FTL, which is probably my favorite of the genre of all time. It's got roguelite aspects to it. There's all kinds of base building, like you collect characters and upgrade them, and it's just got all the things. It's got all the little tiny things that I like in a strategy game. Plus, the combat itself is satisfying. It's based a lot on your positioning and knowing how an enemy is going to react to your attack and kicking people overboard. It's got lots of fun little things. There's so much to unlock in the game. I still have not beat it on purpose because I'm still just exploring all the side
Hell
stuff
yeah.
and trying to max out my characters.
The
But
zero RNG about it is just such a like sweet thing. Like you
Ooh.
don't have to worry
There's
it's
the
about
language.
rolling
so good, dude.
dice, man.
You don't swing and miss. You swing and hit. It connects every time. You are
Yeah.
always
yeah.
like
I
it's so
prefer
good.
that so much because then it becomes more about the strategy and
Yep.
not
Which
just
is
like, oh
which
fuck, I missed.
which is so funny because of how much you hated Mario plus Rabbids.
Yeah, for other reasons besides
For other
just
reasons.
the zero gameplay. We'll get into that right now. But yeah, you're the pirate, man.
hmm
Keep coming.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah. The other one that was similar to this one that I wish I had put more time into because I only played the demo was Tactical Breach Wizards.
Oh
It
my
looked like
god.
it looked like it scratched a lot of the same itch that this one was able to
Yeah, I'm
hit
really
on.
mad I
But
didn't get to that. That's like the one I want to play next after I finish what I'm playing now, and
yep,
it looks right up my alley. Just looks amazing. But
yeah, I could see that potentially knocking maybe Dragon's Dogma off my top 5, but didn't
yeah.
get to play it, so
Mm.
it remains unranked.
Before we continue, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our patrons. Once again, that's Dan Gieslin, Pucho, Wes, Dakota Falk, Randall Reborn Too Good, Austin Sheen, and Sheree Clark. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mom.
man.
First patron shout out of the year. All right, so we'll come back around to Jonah for number 2.
For number 2, I had to put Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. I really wanted to check this
Damn.
game out at PAX this
Good
last
choice.
year, but the line was always just super stacked. And then when I finally like remember that it was there, they're like, "Oh, the line's closed." I'm like, "Wow, fuck, whatever." Picked it up on Game Pass, played it on the Xbox Series S. That game is cool. I know a lot of people don't like these super realistic kind of survival games. I don't either. The thing that really like hooked me onto it is just play it on easy, and it kind of has like that Call of Duty arcadiness to it. Not quite to the level of Call of Duty, but man, just going around exploring, finding different weapons, and like it's just a massive amount of like different guns and stuff that they have in it, and then learning about like the different artifacts and trying to create different buffs and debuffs, and the like every monster encounter is just fucking terrifying, and like there's like these really fast invisible guys that will stun you like re-deads, and they're just like fuck
Oh,
fuck
hell
fuck
yeah.
fuck 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 while you're trying to like turn around to try and shoot the thing. You can end up upgrading and just like making your gun super OP and broken, just absolutely wreck shit. And like headshots matter, which is super fun. So
is it like a survival Fallout 4 kind of thing? Is that sort of what you could?
um it has survivor elements, but it's really like just boiled down. Like you need to make sure you're drinking water to keep your thirst up and make sure you're eating food, but like you eat food so you can regen stamina faster, and you want to just stay hydrated so you like can stay
Pee?
stay focused or something. I can't remember. Like
Okay.
there's just like two things that you really need to focus on, 3,
Mhm.
and then you got to make sure you sleep every once in a while,
Cool.
and that's it.
That's kind of cool if you're saying that even drinking water actually has some sort of buff or not a debuff, because so many times in any survival game it's just I have a food meter, I have a water meter. They don't mean anything other than I die if it gets
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
Didn't Valheim do that where it's like they just give you a buff if you keep up with the resource instead of punishing you if you don't keep
That's
up with the
cool.
resource? So I think that's a better way to do it. It's
Yeah,
like more
definitely.
Makes
fun.
sense.
Yeah, no, but that's cool, Jed. I've been hearing a lot of buzz about this. I don't know anything about the series, and I didn't know that you had played it, so that's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah,
Appreciate the
I
input.
I wish I had played it. Like I wish because I only just pay for Xbox Game Pass,
Mhm.
just so my daughter has access to certain games, and then I'll hop on every once in a while to play something that pops up. But I wish I had it on PC because it's clearly built to be a PC game.
For sure.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I mean the game's really fun. It's got
I mean, it's
like
number
branching
2,
narratives.
so
You get to make decisions and stuff, and you can.
It's got a living world too, right? Like there's
Mhm.
just like random things that'll happen as you're exploring, and you
Yeah.
shoot a guy, and then suddenly he's not present in a town anymore, and or
Mhm.
something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
damn. Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. All right,
And it's single
Steven.
player.
Oh, sorry.
You don't have to worry about like random people coming in to fuck up your shit. It's
Like
just
Dark Souls.
yeah, it feels like a DayZ style game, but it is
But just single
just
player.
single player.
That's cool. Yeah, that makes me more interested. I don't know. I just assumed it was like online multiplayer, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
that's cool.
it's the type that feels like it could be. Like
Mhm.
Mhm. Sick. All right, Steven, you're number 2.
My number 2 is the feel good hit of the year. If
Mm.
you like the original Final Fantasy VII's graphics, and if you like the original Resident Evil's gameplay, I have the best game for you. Pro Country has you following a PTSD girl who is looking for truth in a defunct, really shitty, like carnival, like um, fair
Yeah,
park,
it's like a
I guess.
Theme
amusement
park,
It
right?
park
is
type thing.
It's a
Theme
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 park.
park.
park,
That's
yeah,
yeah,
theme park.
yeah.
But it's like it's that this is like out in the sticks. This is like a real shit one. Like it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everything is like one single like room, and you can tell like the budget of the place that was being built.
Mhm.
It's so perfect because I've been to these theme parks where it's just
Mhm.
like yeah, okay, I could see the you know the papers peeling off the wall and stuff.
Mhm.
Like it's like yeah, I've been here before.
Yeah.
Man, it's so good. It's such an awesome throwback to Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, but you have a moving camera, you have a laser sight pretty much straight away. Like if you've missed finding the laser sight, it means you're not actually playing a Resident Evil game. You're not actually pressing A on everything. As long as you do press like A or X or whatever button you like to press on everything, you're gonna find. The puzzles are intuitive. There's so many like papers and different hints on the walls, and they just give you the barest information about it. Or sometimes they'll just say, here's the code for this, but it'll be 5 rooms over. Sick. Now I go back here. Now bump in that code. Now go into a new room. Here's a puzzle. you do the puzzle, and sometimes it's cool because you do have to really move that camera to sometimes see the puzzles. Like there can be something hidden under some water that you might not see if you just don't have the camera in the right spot. And that'll get you the next item. And it's just this perfect, very straightforward flow, but there is a lot of sequence breaks you can do in it, intentional sequence breaks that the developers put in, as well as, just like some cool extra secrets. But the puzzles are just awesome, man. I haven't felt this good about puzzles in like a action adventure game in a long time. It's just like, here's the puzzle, takes you 30 seconds to go, oh, okay, do this, done. You solve that puzzle. Or sometimes like, okay, I need this code, and you go over, or in Caden's example, you get told, shark, dolphin is the easiest way, but like there's other ways. And then he's
What?
just like, but the game doesn't work. I can't shark, dolphin.
Why does the
It's
BB
like,
gun not work?
only if there was a way to shoot things
Yeah.
without a BB gun.
Damn, if only I had some kind of projectile weapon at all times. Fuck. Oh well. I'll just beat the entire game basically without the shotgun.
It's really
Oh my God.
fantastic. But yeah, like there's really cool ideas and puzzles in there. Really quick. Like one spot, you're in a room and you have to make a bunch of sea monsters like face you, and like you can go up and tap the glass, and it's kind of creepy, like because then they look at you, and you got to quickly run over and tap the glass everywhere. But you could also just bang, 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 shoot all 4 things that they perfectly look at you to solve the puzzle. Like really, really clever. At the end, I saw the speed run. There's a whole bunch of gates, and you've got to just hit a bunch of tiki torches to light them on fire to open up doors the amount that you have open. But if you go in with no ammo, it doesn't soft lock you, and it just like has the puzzle
like
solved.
the game has fail safes to allow you to progress like no matter what, even if you have no ammo. Which is really interesting.
That's clever. That's super clever.
Because I've seen like horror stories. Like my brother played like Silent Hill 4, and he got to like that horrible like human centipede boss that's coming out of wall vaginas, if like anybody's ever played it. And he had no ammo, so he just had to like fucking lock in and like beat that with like the fire axe only. Like it was just a
True
nightmare.
gamer right there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, for a game that looks like Final Fantasy VII, I yelped like 3 or 4 times. Like there's a tall slender man that's always creepy.
I hate that.
And then there's
thing,
like, well, you played on Murder of Crows, didn't you? There's a dog man who like comes out of a box. And it was like,
is that only on Murder of
fuck?
Crows?
Yeah, that's only on
That's
Murder of
crazy.
Crows.
Yeah, that
That's
thing
so
is fucking
creepy.
horrible. Yeah.
Honestly though, like I'm typically not like don't like the demake and like the super pixelated things. I think this game looks fantastic.
Yeah, it looks charming.
It really does.
It just like it's got like an art style inspired by that era. It's not made super polygonal like that era.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it's so good, and it's like getting a magnum or getting the flamethrower are like bonuses, and like you feel really good about getting
and
it.
like
but they're
all
not
the
required
magnum
at
ammo
all.
is like puzzle rewards.
Yeah,
Like you don't just
which is
find a
really
box of
cool.
magnum ammo.
No, you get no magnum ammo unless you've done something semi clever.
Yeah.
Or went backwards in a room, sort of thing. So yeah, it's really cool. Fantastic. I've played it 3 times on every difficulty. There's a difficulty with no enemies. If you just want to do the puzzles, have at it.
What?
The medium difficulty is pretty easy. A hard difficulty, I think Caden said is still pretty easy, and it's still pretty forgiving with
like
the
the
amount
game,
of ammo.
I was able to like almost exterminate every enemy in the game and had like still more than enough ammo to beat the final boss, even on the hard mode. So
But
that's awesome.
You get an infinite grenade launcher after you beat the first time and stuff. So any subsequent playthrough is just fun, and you get to go do the God of War, go kill all of Odin's ravens on the next playthrough, or crows, as obviously it would be, to get a bonus skins like in your Resident Evils. It's just jolly. It's such a good throwback, but it just hits really well.
there might have been a car crash also in the
maybe
house.
5 hours too, so it's like super quick to get that taste.
Yeah, I just feel bad that's not my top 5, especially just hear you talking about it. It's like hyping me up for it. I think it's just because like I don't have as much nostalgia for the old school
Yeah.
Resident Evil or the Final
And
Fantasy
that's the
VII,
thing,
but
like,
even just as
obviously,
a standalone game, like
yeah, like the
it's
fights
really
aren't
good.
incredible, but like I think, as I said, like you can get some jump scares and there's some creepy looking
Yeah.
goobers. Like, yeah.
I think the story is genuinely like, at least the scenario, like the plot in general, is like really bizarre and interesting, and
But
I
yeah,
felt it was
and
satisfying payoff.
as kind of like what happened last year with Golden Idol, and how it was better because I played it co-op with my wife, whereas I didn't play Rise of the Golden Idol with my wife this time. My son was in the room while I was doing one of the last puzzles, which is where you've got to work out a 4-button combination based off the reports about all of the different monsters. All got a bunch of numbers attached to them, and you got to work it out. And I got my son to solve that puzzle, like
Hell yeah.
writing it down on paper. So that was like an extra little bonus. It was just cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
The last thing I would have shouted about it that I thought was really clever that I'd like to see more survival games do is like a lot of the items require you to spend a bullet to acquire them. Like there'll be like
Yeah.
a healing item in a jar, or like there's
Yeah.
something that you have to like shoot down. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Hold on. I think we have
Or
to take a break. Something's going on outside my house. Apologies, listener, if there's any inelegant editing on our part. A drug dealer just ran off the ice outside my house and then broke my mailbox in half, my neighbor's mailbox in half, and then slammed into my neighbor's house. And we had to stop recording and then reconvene 2 days later. So anyway, my number 2 is Dread Delusion.
Ooh.
It's one of those things where I just feel like I'm like the only person on the planet playing this game, but and like the only people like in the discussions on Steam are like people that are like way too invested and like hate reviewing it, and of like, well, why isn't this game have this? Why isn't this game have? But anyway, yeah, a little indie game, very small team, just a handful of individuals with like some contracted artists. It's got that old school PS1 aesthetic, nightmare creatures kind of vibe. But it's like fully open world and has like infinite draw distance, which is just a really bizarre thing to like be in a game that looks like it's a PS1 game, but you're like looking out into the distance and you're like, hey, there's like a castle over there wrapped in tentacles. Let me go check out and see what that
there's none
is.
of that 64 fog. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's incredible. And like,
Wow.
so the setting is like a sort of archipelago of floating islands, and like there's a big like cephalopod great one floating through the sky too. And it's like you just crawl to like the top of a mountain or whatever, and you look out and you're like, there's an island with a castle on it. There's the cephalopod in the sky. There's this, there's that, and like you can go and check them out. The gameplay is like very like Elder Scrolls, but simplified, because it's just like a smaller scope indie game. So it's like first person, melee magic, ranged combat, and then like some immersive sim stuff like sneaking, lock picking, charming. There's like a spell where you can like turn enemies against each other based on your charm stat, and
Sick.
they do a really really cool XP system where your XP is like items you pick up in the world, or you get them as like quest rewards. They're just called delusions, and when you get enough delusions, you can level up. But you don't get any delusions for like killing things or like picking locks or doing speech checks or whatever. So like there's not like an incentive to do any particular thing in terms of like the immersive sim elements. So you just do what you want to do. And then if you just explore, you'll find illusions, or if you complete quests, you'll find illusions and then make yourself better at the stuff you like to do.
Interesting.
There's a
When do you get your giant airship though? Like
yeah.
when are you an airship, bro?
I was just about to say there's a turning point. It's kind of like the third act of the game, like the final act. So, it's past the halfway mark, but your first task is to go around and collect all these individuals that are relevant to the story. And then once you do that, you've like assembled the A team, and then you have to like go do a thing. And then once you do that thing, you finally get access to the airship. But that part of the game is really cool because throughout the whole game, there's all these like unreachable islands in the archipelago floating around. And you're like, how the fuck do I get there? And eventually you get the airship and you're like, that's how I get there. And, you can customize it with handling and speed and whatever. You can get an airship that is like a little cephalopod with like a hollowed out shell. And you just right around the shell. And the big cephalopod of the sky is sick because it's so big that it can house like a town. And you literally fly into the mouth of the cephalopod and just go inside of it, and there's just like a town in there and like a whole dungeon and like all this shit. But the biggest thing I want to highlight about this game is it's just like it's like one of the most creative and like unique settings and like ideas and arts that I've seen in like a game in a long time. Like I really was playing it for like the writing and the story and just like what I'm gonna see next around the corner. You know, when you think of something like Skyrim, it's just like there's so much recycled content. Like when I think of Skyrim in my head, like vanilla Skyrim, it's just like a blur of like Draugr tombs and like
Mhm.
you know dragon fights, I guess. And
The same cave over and over again.
yeah, there's just so much unique shit in this game, and it's like it took me like 30 hours to do everything, which is just
Yeah,
like
wow. That's
perfect.
nice
It's not
though.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Not
good,
bad at all.
good length.
Yeah. Just to give like a little taste, like the starting island is where like uh people who worship like old gods have run from like the apostatic union that's killing all the gods to like practice their god worship and like sacrifice to gods for like god blessings and shit. And there's lots of giant mushroom forests and shit. And then like the next kingdom over is like all undead zombie people that have been around for like 400 years because 400 years ago their king made a spell that turned them all into zombies. It turned half of them into zombies, and then that half ate the other half. And then like the other kingdom is like a kingdom of mages that like basically learn the matrix, like the underlying magic of language of magic that like defines reality. And they tried to code it into a machine to be their king, and it just went bad. So like it's just really, really cool shit. But
Crazy.
yeah, if you're into RPGs at all or a fan of Elder Scrolls or maybe even like Warhammer, because it has that like dark science fantasy vibe.
Yep.
Definitely check it out for sure.
Those are the vibes I got. I got Warhammer mixed with Bloodborne when I
Yeah.
put a little bit of time into it.
It's
Also,
like Warhammer.
the subreddit community for it is so good. It's just a bunch of
Oh, hell yeah.
weirdos.
Okay. Yeah. This is a weirdo game.
When I
for
went
sure.
to the Min-Max meetup in Portland, me and a group of people just started talking about the game. Like some of the guys were like just super gushing about it.
Hell yeah.
I every like it sounds like such a cool game, and then I look at it and I'm just like, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Damn. That sucks because I love the aesthetic. Like it's just, yeah. Opinions. All right, Mateo, what's your number two?
My number 2 has already been covered, but I've got 220 hours in the game, so obviously
Holy
it's stuck in my head a little bit. The game is Balatro. Balatro is amazing, man. This was really close to being my number 1. It's honestly like just right there. There's a tiny little like sliver separating this and my number 1. But Balatro's good, man. It lives in your head. It's everywhere. Like they just
Mhm.
released it on like iOS or something,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Yeah,
Like
I wish I honestly I wish I had gotten it on mobile instead
it'd be a
because
good it'd be a
it's
good
just
game for
perfect
mobile.
on the go game.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's so much love in this game. There's so much clever stuff you can do in this game. There's so many weird ways to play in this game. I love it. It's definitely been one of my top 2 game of the year. Is we're ranking them here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of us, guys. That's our first repeat, the last number 2. So talk about some variety. Yeah, I regret that I haven't played Balatro yet, and like I'm sure like I would love it if I actually tried
Hayden,
it. But
we
I
share
guess
Steam libraries, don't we?
yeah, it's just I haven't made the
Oh, I see.
time
I see.
to
Yeah,
to
Well,
do
you
it.
don't need to
But
buy it, so there's that.
yeah, that's true. But like what Jonah said about Dread Delusion, like part of it, I have to admit, is just like the aesthetic is just it's just like when you look at a screenshot of it, it's just a bunch of poker cards. And I'm like,
Screenshots
damn,
don't do the game justice
they could
at
have
Bala-
wrapped
all.
this in
Yeah.
a skit of like fantasy or some shit, and I'd be eating it up.
Bro,
I watched
Yeah.
I watched Jonah stream one time, and he was just there moving his cards around and just saying it's so pretty when you move the
Ooh.
cards around.
Okay. So there's some like
and
kinetic stuff.
they've got like you know how they do the friendship packs or whatever. You can change
Mhm.
the art of the cards to be like the face cards to be like your favorite indie games.
Yeah. I saw the lizard from Divinity Original Sin
Mhm.
and Shovel Knight, all that good
Sick.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Anything else anybody wants to say about Balatro?
Did you get any
Yeah.
time with this game yet, Steven?
Yeah, I've beaten it 3
Oh yeah,
times.
you just started playing a few months back, right?
Yeah, a few weeks ago I think it was.
Yeah.
A little bit before Crow Country. But yeah, no, yeah, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, no, I agree with Caden. I don't think the aesthetic sells it as well, like in a screenshot. But once you are playing it, it's just jolly vibes and like infinitely customizable in the fact of like, they could easily just be like, oh, we were in a meeting or whatever, and we decided to drop 20 more Jokers or something. They
Yeah.
could quite easily do that if they just come up with a cool like premise for the Jokers, because all
I
they
feel
are
like
just buffs and debuffs.
I heard a story about where somebody had misadvertised the amount of Jokers that were in the game, and he just kind of like shrugged and was like, "Oh, I'll just put that many Jokers in the game, so I'll come up with that many more Jokers to match that number."
Hell yeah.
The
Yeah.
Jokers
They're
are fun
clever.
though, dude. Some of them are like quite
Mm.
witty. How he like comes up with like the names and stuff for them, and
The
Nice.
powers, the way they synergize together, the way that you can
Yeah.
just figure out to synergize them, it's so good, man.
And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it. Like
I love that
sometimes
shit.
you'll get one and you go, okay, this one isn't that good, but then you just accidentally get a buff where it just happens to buff that particular Joker, and like, well, now I'm stuck with this one. How do I
Mhm.
make this all work? And yeah, you sort of rethink things. Go, is this obsolete now? And you get rid of one to dig into another. It's really cool.
and the animations on the flames when you start getting that big, like
I've heard of this.
Yeah.
yes, it just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger the more you go in a single hand. It just feels real good.
Now, I have not made one of those broken hands where you get like the E number instead of an actual real
Yeah,
number.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really funny.
But
All
yeah,
right.
amazing game. It's got so much content in it. It's got so much replayability. Play it. It's your grandpa's video poker he used to play before you went to bed at night. This is that for us.
Yeah.
Hell
For the
yeah. All right.
millennials.
Before we move on to our number ones, just gonna give everybody a opportunity to quickly shout out any honorable mentions that didn't make their list. So, Jonah, if you'd like to start us off with that.
So my honorable mentions, I only have one, but because it's DLC, it can't be on the official list. So it's gonna be the Alan Wake 2 DLC. I played that pretty recently actually, just before the end of the year, and dude, it's so good. It expands on that awesome story, and they do like so the big DLC expands on the story, and there's like a whole part of the map that you can't access, but it's there and you can see it, and you're like, what is behind like this big gate that says like uh property of the control or whatever, and you're like, I want to know what's behind that gate. That's the DLC. And dude, when you finally get to see it, it's just like that nice mix of Alan Wake and Control and stuff. It's really freaking cool. And then they have the Night Springs DLCs, which are like 20-30 minute little vignettes of you just doing just wacky challenges around the town and stuff. And you get to one of them, you get to play as like a fangirl, Alan Wake fangirl, and you've got like a hunting rifle that's maxed out and a shotgun that's maxed out, and
Hell yeah.
you're just wrecking shit, and it's fucking awesome. And then there's one
So
where
sort of like, sorry.
no, what was that?
I was gonna say, so you the way you're pitching it sounds kind of like those first few like Resident Evil 7 DLCs where they're like just like little like fun little
Yeah, it's a
you
lot
know,
like that.
amusements. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's one where you're playing as Jesse Faden from Control, and she's walking through like the weird coffee theme park and stuff, and it's just
Sick.
connected Control back to Alan Wake more, and it's really cool.
Sick. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's one of my regrets that I've not gotten around to Alan Wake 2 and its DLCs yet because I loved Control. It was really, really good. Sick.
Is
So
Alan
that's all
Wake
your
on
honorable mentions.
is Alan Wake on Steam yet?
I don't think so. I think it's only through
That
EGS.
I
think that's
actually,
what I think that's what I'm waiting on,
But
honestly.
it
yeah,
like for the DLC and the game, all of it is like less than $60.
nice.
I can't mess with that big man. I have my own personal issues with that
No,
big.
that's
I've
fine. I'm
uninstalled
just
Epic.
saying it's relatively affordable.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. All right, Steven, your honorable mentions.
Yeah, I got a few. There was a few games that missed out on my personal list, like Helldivers 2. Had a pretty fantastic time, but as I said in previously, like your experience can vary a lot based on who you're playing with and like what sort of level you're playing at and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, fantastic. Like as I said, the shotgun, really good. Really good weapons in that game. But for me, I had a couple of little indies that I smashed through earlier on in the year. Mika and the Witch's Mountain, the Kiki's Delivery Service game. Just a little shout out to that. It wasn't perfect. It was like maybe a 7 on a good day, but just it's one of those a short hike likes is what I'd like to call it. And shout out to Little Gator Games got a DLC coming.
God, I
so it's
can't
gonna be
wait
hype.
for that, dude.
Yeah.
I was about to ask you, is Little Gator Games one of these
Yeah,
whatever
it's a
you
short
just
highlight. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so no, it was just a jolly game, and then my big one. I can't remember any of my other ones off the top of my dome, but the big one for me was definitely Elden Ring.
Yep.
Erdtree, it was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if I personally think it's better than the base game. Some people do.
Mm.
I definitely it's just more Elden Ring, which is great, and like the way they mixed it up, the way they just added color and different creatures
Yeah.
and different things and throwbacks and just brand new stuff was just
Mm.
really cool. And then like just how they ramped up bosses, like yes, there had been that style before with your your Slave Knight Gales and Orphan of Kos and all that sort of stuff, but like this just seemed like straight out the gate, every single boss was just so much harder. Like it was crazy to go up
really.
against the dancing dragon and dancing lion and stuff, and just being like, so this is the last boss, obviously. I must be
Wow, I
looking
already
at
made
this
it.
wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, just so many fantastic bosses. Like, Rulana as well. Like, I absolutely love Rulana. Being giving me those I always forget his name, Pontiff Sullivan vibes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, really fantastic DLC.
Sick. Yeah, I'll second that. I had a weird experience with the game because I had naturally fallen into like the meta build for Shadow of the Erdtree before it came out as my in-game build of the base game of Elden Ring. And so it wasn't as challenging as I was expecting it to be or wanting it to be. And like, I like first tried a lot of bosses and
And this is
it
why
was a,
you got
it
the
was a
rough
little bit
brain.
yeah. So I felt a little bit like robbed of like the challenge that I kept hearing about, and I wish that I had,
This is
I
a
don't know,
weird
started a new
humble
character with a
brag. I was like
different.
just too good at the
Well,
game,
it's not.
It
It's not
wasn't
even I'm
hard.
good. It's just the gray shields are broken. That's the problem. But yeah, they did some really cool things with it. It was really cool to see how they expanded or filled out the lore a little bit more about like the Golden Order and like the fingers and like the shit they did with like the Mother of Fingers and the finger cathedrals and shit. And you get a
Made a
little bit
dragon
of
fight
the
that didn't suck.
What'd you
yeah
do to
yeah.
my mother?
But there's so much. They really upped their game on the side dungeons, like
Oh yeah,
the
definitely.
the jails with the pot people, and like even the catacombs are now like much more unique and have like you know unique gimmicks, like the one that has like the basilisk statues you have to avoid and stuff. But dude, I think my favorite boss is probably I can't remember his name now, but the Lord of Frenzy Flame
Flavor
guy.
Frenzy. Yeah.
Yeah, that fight was so good. Yeah, just from software fucking killing it again. But cool. Yeah. Any other? That was your last honorable mention, Steven?
Yeah, I can't remember any off the top of my dome.
Cool. The only one I really want to shout out that I actually played was Dragon's Dogma 2. Feels a little bit bad to not have it on my list. The thing that I had the most fun with that game was like the community aspect because we had oh, I don't need to talk about this because Mateo brought up Darkest Dungeon 2 earlier, and I already said the same shit. Not Darkest Dungeon 2, Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah. So,
Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
I do have one more shout out.
Go for it.
Abiotic Factor, myself,
Oh, right.
Jonah,
Hell
and
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's early release though.
Mateo.
It's releasing this year. That's gonna make my
Ah.
Okay, so
2025
Oh,
list.
maybe,
There you go.
yeah. If we get back
Yeah.
into it, but that was a bunch of fun in early access. Just getting around in a survival game, doing dumb stuff, needing to go to the bathroom,
Agreed.
all that good fun.
And
Yeah.
one could almost say that we're play stacked on games.
Yeah.
True.
But no, I had a lot of fun with Dragon's Dogma 2, but it just kind of got repetitive and boring towards the end of it. And it wasn't what I was expecting from a sequel. It basically felt like a remake of the first game and with all the same problems to me. So maybe if I had not played the first game, I would have liked it more. But
That
yeah,
might
I
be
still
that
enjoyed it.
that might be why I enjoyed it more because I played the
Mhm.
first Dragon's Dogma, but I made it to like the first town and they started
Yeah.
explaining the pawn stuff, and I was like, holy shit, this is
What
an
is
entire
this?
page just full of
Yeah.
text. I don't think
Yeah.
this is the game for me. When I played it years ago.
Mhm. All right. Well, Mateo, what are your honorable mentions then?
I've got a few quick ones. First one is a big shout out to Peglin. If Balatro had not
Right.
come out this year, Peglin probably would have made it somewhere on my top 5 list. I put a lot of time in Peglin. I probably have more time in Peglin than I do in Balatro. Let's check real quick.
Goblin, bro.
190 hours in Peglin. I am very close.
Close.
Holy shit.
So yeah, big shout out to Peglin. This game lives in my head. I don't know why, but it does. It's just a pachinko based roguelite,
Yeah.
and it is so
you
good.
big Peggle
Bouncy
guy?
balls do
Did you
something
like
to your brain.
Peggle? No?
No, dude, Peggle did never really grab me. This one did.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other honorable mention to Diablo 4 Vessel Hatred, a DLC that was not eligible for Game of the Year. I don't think it would have made it, but I did enjoy my time with Diablo 4. It's always delightful. They added
Oh,
a
yeah.
new fun class in, added some new story stuff in. It doesn't feel like the story really pushed it forward all that much, but the class is fun to play.
Did you play the full base game and Vessel of Hatred?
Yeah.
Damn, I just quietly whiling away on Diablo 4 and I had no idea.
Mateo's
Well-
partner's game of the year.
Yeah,
Nice.
Roxanne plays the hell out of that game, so
Nice,
I've put a lot of
nice.
hours into that game.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Last honorable mention before I get to my number one. There was a game that came out this year. I don't know if y'all played it or not, but if you like super patriotism and shooting bugs and team-based cooperation and chainsaw swords, then Space Marines 2 just might be your speed. And if Helldivers had not come out and made the exact same game, just a little bit more accessibly multiplayer, I might have made this higher up on my list.
Oh, yeah. Cool. All right, then.
Also
well,
brutally hard as well, like a lot of people said.
It is a pretty hard game,
Oh,
but if you can
okay.
find 2 buddies to run through it, it's fantastic. I still need to run through that game if anyone is looking for a third in their group.
Damn. All right, then. That brings us to our
TCG
number.
Card Shop Simulator. Sorry, just quick one.
Oh, yep.
Ooh,
Yep.
Stinky people and collecting cards.
that's a good game.
All right, Jonah, kick us off with our number ones.
So we've talked about it a bunch, but my number one was Balatro. It's a nice
yeah.
jolly game. I got my mom hooked into it. I got a couple of my friends like super hooked into it. The game just rules. It's simple.
Oh, yeah.
It's got like that same vibe as Tetris and Vampire Survivors, just like that
Mhm.
one man made game that just ticks off all the boxes. The perfect arcade little game, nice quick runs, and
Mhm.
gets the head thinking. Good podcast game, it's just
Mhm.
nice chill vibes.
That's another good like rep for the for the Discord, to jump into our Discord, because like Jonah was playing it on there and I was watching him and he was just explaining the sort of like how it runs while he was being guided by our mate Austin, and yeah, like that's what got me to get it. It was like, oh no, yeah, I like poker, but whatever. He's like, oh no, you should you'd enjoy it. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Then I'm like, yeah, I've got it right.
Yeah.
How do I play? It was awesome.
Like I said earlier, it's not just poker. It is a deck builder.
Yeah,
It
right.
is very
Just
much a
uses
deck
poker player
builder.
cards. Yeah. Very cool. I had a friend who recently picked it up, and like within a week, he'd already put like 40 hours into it because he got it on his phone, and he was telling me about his like 2-pair build. You know,
It's an easy. That's an easy build to build.
That's a
Yeah.
good build, yeah.
he's just
you can
starting out. He's only 40 hours in.
you can beat that game with just a high card build, dude. It's doable.
Oh, it's
That's
crazy. Let's play a single
All right.
card.
Steven, you're number one.
Hasn't been mentioned here at all, which is surprising. I guess no one else played it on here, but this is like the game of the year for most outlets, I think. So, unsurprising. I am a bit of a 3D Mario fan, and so yeah, Astrobot just came into my number one.
Yeah.
Obviously by default for Shadow of the Erd Tree, but yeah, no, it's fantastic. Look, I am not the biggest on like A to B Mario fan. Like I think Galaxy and Galaxy 2 and that sort of stuff, 3D World and all that are fine, are good, but like not like mind blowing, because like I just like the secrets
Agreed.
of an open Mario, like a Mario Odyssey or a 64 or a Banjo Kazooie. That's my vibe of a 3D platformer. And the thing is, Astrobot has maybe 2 or 3 of those levels in it, and I'm like, these are the best levels. Like, do this.
Yeah. Well, that's what you'll get for Astrobot 2.
Hopefully, that would be really nice. But at the same time, like the competitive nature of like PlayStation, like everyone was like hyped on the speedrun levels, and I'm like, I don't care about the speedrun levels like so much.
But everyone can speedrun.
So no, like, look, the movement options were fantastic. I just don't like care about the collectibles as much as everyone else does. Like everyone was fapping about all of the nods to all the games, and someone did say it was like a nice like little obituary almost, like to a lot of these dead game publishers. Like there was like a little eulogy. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have, we did get it back, but I'm pretty sure they had Amaterasu in there and stuff like that. And it's like, like, don't you remember this game?
Strange.
And that luckily got to come back. But so many of these games are defunct, or the studios no longer exist, kind of thing, or they've been absorbed into EA or whoever. But yeah, like that stuff is cute. But I was never like, oh my god. And when people were like, how good was the Last of Us level? I'm like, it's like playing a worse version of a Last of Us level or a worse version of a God of War level. It's not like, oh my god, they just knocked it out of the park. It was like, this is cute, but like I think the levels that they did dedicated to themselves and had 3D space were the best ones. Like especially there's one that we get miniaturized. That's definitely the best level, but the worst thing about it was the only level they did it in. They had a really great idea and they only did it once. So like my only issue with the game, which is funny, I think retrospectively it makes It Takes Two better. By comparison, because they had so many ideas and like almost all of them hit. There are still a couple abilities in Astrobot where they're just not as good as the other ones.
That new game from Joseph Ferris looks so good, dude. I'm so
it is.
What old game was there where they did a very similar thing to Astrobot, where it was a lot of like parodies of their existing shit? Is that like Conker's Bad Fur Day? I'm thinking of, where they made fun of a bunch of other games.
Well,
so they had stages that were basically other games. That's Astrobot.
That was more just pop media, more like, remember
like
this thing from the Matrix, remember this thing from Aliens.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. No, that's
Saving Private Ryan. God, Conker's is so dumb. It's so good, but it's so dumb.
I feel like we'll be seeing Astrobot soon again, considering they just canceled like 3 or 4 like live service game projects from a lot of their big studios that I guess are just starting from scratch again. So it'd be really interesting to see what they're.
One thing I didn't realize was that Team Asobi is pretty much the Phoenix of Japan studio. I didn't
know that either.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Very cool. All right. My number one is a little game called Unicorn Overlord. Old buddy Wes, of course, sent me his copy of this when he was done with it, and I played this on Switch.
Is there
I
anywhere
guess
else you can play it?
Yeah, you can play it on PlayStation 5 and Switch. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. It's not on PC at all. That's interesting.
No, yeah,
That's
which
the
would be
reason I that's
perfect.
the reason I have not played it yet.
Yeah, and yeah, I played this like started before my son was 1, so there was a lot of, him napping and me just plugging away at this game on my Switch. But just like the overall vibe of this game is it's just like incredibly like polished. Like
Nice.
everything just looks so good. It
Mm.
just runs well. Like there's no bugs, no glitches. Like it's incredibly complicated because the gameplay involves crafting like up to 5-man units of up to 5 soldiers, and like each soldier has like X number of abilities and like,
So
X number of gear slots, and there's like hundreds of pieces of gear, and you've got a Final Fantasy 12 Gambit system, and like it all just works. Like
Wait,
so
how
I've
many
so
never
you're
run
units
into
are you
any issue.
building?
wait, so you're not making like groups of archers or something. You're making like a bunch of little 5-person like
Yeah. You're making
squads.
like strike teams. So like this
Okay.
one, I've got like 2 Great Knights on cavalry, and they like, crush infantry. But if the opponent has like flying units that like trump cavalry, then I back up the Great Knights with like a couple of archers that take out the flyers. And there's just so much to it because like something like Fire Emblem, which is not really a good analog, but it's the closest thing people think of because they both have like, tactical auto battling. Like in Fire Emblem, it's just 1v1 unit. So it's like if like in any of the Fire Emblem games where they have like the weapon triangle, that's basically just rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
It's like X unit is always going to trump X other unit, and there's just not really anything you can do about it. So don't send that unit
Whereas
against this
each
one.
individual unit is a makeup of 5.
Yeah.
That's really
So
cool.
it's like
So it's like a
if you had
complicated version of the other one, Advance Wars, where it shows that there's a battalion there, but there's
uh
a lot of
really
uniqueness.
the best way to like say what this game is it's literally just ogre battle, but nobody knows what ogre battle is. But yeah, just to give an overview for anyone who doesn't know what this game is, you've got a world map and you can run around the world map, and there's like a bunch of like optional content and even branching paths for main content where you get into battles on the world map. And the battles involve you ordering units across the battlefield to accomplish objectives in real time. But when 2 units clash for a battle, it's like a Fire Emblem style auto battle. But instead of 1v1, it's like 5v5. And it can literally be any combination of any unit types in the game. So you can just go all in on like an all cavalry unit that'll crush all infantry, or you can make like an Omni unit that can kind of handle everything. And that's really where the fun of this game is. Like if you're, I guess, just like a stats person or like a spreadsheet person or like a tinkering builds person, like, maybe even if you like Diablo or something like that, like you could just spend so long tinkering your units and making them just like perfect and trying to like complement all their weaknesses. And the height of this is someone eventually went in the community and they built for New Game Plus a perfect unit that can handle any other unit in the game without even being hit once, taking 0 damage for the
Jesus.
whole game. So like that's like how in the weeds you could get with like
Yeah.
programming the AI and stuff. But
How's
yeah,
the
it's
how's
just
the story of this game? Because like it sounded like super epic in all the trailers that I
mm,
saw, and then they'd be like, and you can do it all in Unicorn Overlord. And I was like, what is the name? What?
that's got to be the saddest thing about this game is that people just hate the name Unicorn Overlord. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's interesting. This game, when it first came out and the demo came out, people were giving the story flack because they were just comparing it to 13 Sentinels, which has
Yeah,
like
'cause
shit
they repped
gameplay and like one of the best games and
story.
stories.
Yeah.
And this is like some of the best gameplay in video games and just a pretty good story. So they're like, oh, it's a shit story because it's only pretty good. But
Why are they comparing it to that game?
it's the same developer
Same
as the
studio.
last game.
But a studio can't make 2 different kinds of games?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Huh,
yeah.
weird.
I'm with you. Those people are stupid.
That's
Yeah, but the general overview is like your mother, the queen, was betrayed by her like strongest general, and he's taken over the kingdom, and he's conquering Alexander the Great style all the neighboring kingdoms and trying to like make like one world government, evil empire or whatever. And you grow up in hiding, being trained on like leadership and warfare and like fighting, and then the time finally comes where you're like discovered, and so you have to go out and start building a rebel army and like strategically taking back like areas and like gaining allies. And people were making fun of it because the bad guy has like a power to like take control of another person. So like you fight someone who betrayed your mom, and then he's like, "Oh man, I was just mind controlled the whole time, but now we can be friends and I can fight for you." But the thing is, on his face, that seems like cliche and stupid and like a cop out. But like without spoiling anything, like the game actually like digs into that, and like there's actually like a really interesting twist where it's not exactly what you think it is. And there's like a character where he comes out of the mind control, but it becomes clear from him that he was conscious of everything he was doing against his will. So he's like traumatized for like all the people he's killed that he should have been protecting because he was a knight of the realm. And so he has this whole character arc where he like is dealing with like self-hatred and like wants to kill himself because of this. And they didn't have to do that. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, I actually think the story is great, totally fine. It's not a bad story at all. It's just not as good as 13 Sentinels. So but
Nice.
yeah, I think this game's probably just doomed
Well, then
to
I guess I'm gonna go play 13 Sentinels, whatever the hell that is.
yeah. Yeah. I'm a
I
little sad. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I need to put some time into this one because I've been playing Triangle Strategy recently,
Mm.
and it's really been like scratching that itch that I've had for like a good like
Yeah.
tactical game. Because I downloaded Tactics Ogre Reborn. That game is deep. There's a lot going on in that game. That game is dense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Triangle Strategy a little bit easier to
Mm.
to like get yourself into. It's a little bit more smooth brain friendly, Jonah.
Bringing that up, I just want to say about Unicorn Overlord is it's actually a really good, in my opinion, entry point into strategy games for people because despite its complexity, it starts off with very low complexity where you can only have units of up to 2 people, and it builds on that as the game progresses. So you're not just suddenly flooded with all these mechanics. It's introduced one at a time, and like it has an extremely well organized and detailed like tutorial system, and like you can retry battles as many times as you want. You can leave a battle if you just decide you're not ready for it at no consequence. Like it's just so frictionless and like has so much quality of life that it's just so friendly. And even on the normal difficulty, it's not even that hard. Like you can basically just have the game. There's an option where it just auto makes units for you and auto optimizes their gear, which isn't going to get you through like the hardest difficulty, but on normal mode, it's totally more than enough to get through. And there's an easier mode than that. There's like, story mode or whatever. So, yeah, sick game.
What does
Mateo.
Unicorn Overlord?
sorry.
Is that just like the main bad guy? Is
Oh,
the
yeah,
Unicorn
no.
Overlord?
The main kingdom that you play the prince of that was taken over by the bad guy is called Corneria, and they're like coat of arms is like a unicorn, and they have this whole thing in the story where in the past unicorns were real, and they're like holy beings that like were able to create miracles, and there's like a whole religion around it. And so like you are the Unicorn Overlord, like you're the lead of the rebel army that's trying to retake basically the kingdom of the unicorn. But yeah,
like
and the lore of the unicorn ends up becoming central to the story towards the end. So
Okay,
yeah,
that's
good
cool.
shit. Yeah, Unicorn Overlord is a cool name. You just have to play the game, you'll understand. Unlike
Freaking sick, bro.
3.15
I
over 2
promise.
days or whatever.
I'm guessing they got hunted into extinction like most of the stuff in our world, where it's like it was just for like boner pills and stuff. They just,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
grind down the horn for boner pills.
Yeah, I think
It
some
makes
like
my wiener
evil
longer.
ancient empire like drank all the unicorn blood to make themselves immortal ghosts or some shit like that. But
you don't
Yeah.
think that after like decades and decades and decades of chopping off like rhino and elephant horns and trying to use them to make boner pills,
they
that
would
they
know.
realized it doesn't work and they would stop doing it.
It's just like NFT bros. Like it's the same
Yeah.
exact thing where your customer base are people that are too stupid to realize that your product is bullshit. So anyway, yeah, Mateo, you're number one.
My number one is a game that I keep being told by people came out of nowhere and no one could have expected it was going to be so successful. But some of us played Helldivers 1. Some of us played the hell out of Helldivers 1
The
on the
faithful.
PlayStation, and we knew the game was gonna be a banger. Like when they put out the trailer and it was like, oh shit, it's just Helldivers 1, but you're 3D. We all looked at each other and said, I hope they keep friendly fire in. And they did. And that made the game amazing.
Yeah.
It's crazy to have a game actually improved by adding friendly fire into it.
So
And
what
putting,
game
like,
is
Yeah.
this?
It is Helldivers 2, dude.
And just there's nothing that can. There's no other game at the moment that lets you just put in like the Konami code and then like get a cheat. You know,
It's so
That's
just
man,
drop
it's
sick.
so
down
cool.
on you.
You know, and I gotta say, like a big part of my problems with the game are the community, but the community is also amazing because I mean the shit you see on on like Reddit. There was a dude that made an arm strap where he could type in the stratagem codes on his arm while
In
he's
real
playing the
life?
game, and it would input them into the game. Like that's
Nice.
amazing.
Dude, the Helldivers cosplay has been awesome too.
Yep. Yeah, there's this sword dude that I follow on YouTube. This dude named Robin Swords or something like that. He bought he bought a Helldivers cosplay, like a full costume that he wears and does like sword shit in. It's super cool, man. The community is fun. I think the game does have some issues. I think the game has some issues that a lot of people don't address. I think that their game is very grindy, and I think that they lock some of the content. I think they've released too much content. I know that's a weird weird complaint to have, but I think they've released way too much content for that game so quickly.
That is fair, but like it never times out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It never
Content
times
never
out.
times out. So
It never times out, and as people have told me, the best weapons you get are in like the base war pack, basically. But here's the problem: I want to play the fun weapons, and I don't want to have to grind 500 hours to play with the
Yeah.
fun weapons. I don't care if they're the
or
best
spend
weapons. I want to use
money.
I want to use the fun
That
weapons. So
sucks.
only
Damn.
complaint about the game. Everything else is fantastic, though. It is a model of just making stories on its own. It is just organic storytelling. All the storytelling happens because Jonah called in a stratagem too close, and now we have to run back 500 yards, and the
dude.
bombs are exploding around us.
Mhm.
And then our homeboy his body just flies by because he's gone now. Like
Yeah.
the game is amazing. There's not a lot of other games that can story tell
And
in this mean.
even just like it is safe and you're allowed to exit, and so someone calls in a stratagem on top of the evac like plane and stuff.
Man,
Yep.
this just like is making me realize how much I wish Dragon's Dogma 2 had like multiplayer
Actual
and friendly
co-op,
fire.
yeah,
Like, can you
yeah.
imagine
100%.
like you're a sorcerer in the party, like finally is able to like charge up and cast like meteor, but then the meteors come down, they're just killing the entire party, you know? But you take out the monster.
That would probably make people a bit smarter in Monster Hunter, because like man, when you're like charging that true strike and then like someone bumps you and you're just like, oh sick,
God,
missed
yeah, worst
that
feeling in the
one.
world. All
Can
right,
we
so do we want to?
are we doing bets this year? Can we take a bet on where Monster Hunter ranks on Cadence, like top five
that'll
for
be on
2025?
our next
Number
episode.
one.
We're doing
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
doing bets
That'll
on our
be
next
number
episode.
one with a bullet, unless it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
absolutely trash.
Well, the odds
on the
are you just get your
online
money
from the
back.
start.
There's not even like a payout at all. Like
Yeah.
if you bet that it'll be number one.
Yeah.
Sick. All right. Well, we go back to Jonah, and if everybody just wants to run down their top 5, if you can remember them, and then
At number 5, I had Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. At number 4, I had Call of Duty Black Ops 6. At number 3, I had Helldivers 2. 2 was Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl, and number 1 was Balatro.
hell yeah. All right, Steven.
Nice. I had Rise of the Golden Idol at number 5, Cat Quest 3 at number 4, Balatro at number 3, Crow Country at number 2, and Astrobot at my number 1.
Hell yeah. All right, I've got East 10 Nordics at number 5, SteamWorld Heist 2, number 4, Mouthwash at number 3, Dread Delusion at number 2, and Unicorn Overlord at number 1.
Damn, Caden, you have the best top 5 out of us. Yours is so much more
It's
fun.
the
So
weirdest.
unique, yeah.
Mine is just like every top game that came out except for one. Dragon's Dogma 2 at number 5, Tekken 8 number 4, Rogue Waters number 3, Balatro number 2, Helldivers 2 number 1.
Oh yeah. So shout out to Balatro and Helldivers 2, making a lot of lists.
Mhm.
All right, so that's our top five. So I guess I'll turn things over to you, Steven, to go over our community top 10.
Beautiful. Yeah, so first of all, a big thank you. We had 18 entrants this year for our community top 10. So massive shout out to Hyperballistic, Ninjax Tech, Mateo, Holden Hintz, Dan Giesland, Randall Reborn, Wes Bates, Brendan Wims, Traveling Snowman, Ant, Ryan Stubbs, Roland, Austin Taylor, Bob Buell. Just came up as Ryan. I'm not sure. I didn't look into it, but Ryan, thank you. Caden and Jonah. So without further ado, we do have some ties. So starting at our number 10, we get to decide and be the arbiter for what is actually going to get our number 10 slot.
Oh, yikes.
We have tied in 10th place Pacific Drive, Star Wars Outlaws, Satisfactory, which went 1.0 this year, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, or Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown.
Oh,
Ooh, damn. Sounds like maybe
Ooh.
like for this crew, maybe Prince of Persia, but I could also give the nod to Yakuza. That game just like
Yeah,
really seemed to make like a big splash, and the Yakuza heads are just like,
yeah.
I
That
I
they're
really
going strong.
want Pacific Drive to be in our top 10 or in my top 10, but the
Sure, yeah.
game just didn't have enough in it
yeah,
for
it
me
just
yeah.
to toss
doesn't
it up there.
have a
Okay.
satisfying enough gameplay loop. It is aesthetically and like
Fantastic.
just conceptually when
The
you saw the
mood.
trailer and you're like, oh, I see some like some dolls or whatever, some statues out in the field. That is like, yes, that's perfect. When I went and sat and watched Ryan play, Captain Stubbs, it just wasn't anywhere near
It was
as exciting as that.
surprisingly like much more of a car guy game than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, and
Yep.
much more low key.
Mhm.
So yeah, I personally am sort of as well thinking Like a Dragon. I heard a lot of good stuff about that. The fact that it has like Animal Crossing starter, and sometimes like people say like there's a bit too much bloat, but I found that when I played Yakuza 0, the side stories are the most fun and engaging and silly
Exactly.
stuff,
Yeah.
and that's like the really cool stuff to engage with. I know Prince of Persia has been lauded as like a very solid like
Hmm.
Metroidvania. I just don't know what it does
Mhm.
uniquely personally, because I haven't spent time on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like a Dragon.
I
I think that's a fun pick.
I think that's a fun pick too because I really like the Yakuza series, and I hope we keep
Mhm.
getting more crazy batshit stuff like that. I think that they just do their own
Yeah.
thing, and I love that they just do their own thing.
Well,
Like
you
they,
are, because the next game is the fucking crazy guy
the
with the eye
pirate
patch
one,
as a
right?
pirate in
Yeah.
modern day Hawaii
Yeah.
or whatever. Cool. So Ichiban gets the nod. Number
Hell
10.
yeah. And obviously, shout outs to their games there. I know that Star Wars Outlaws seems to be very split. Some
Mhm.
people just enjoy it for what it is, and other people are like, yeah, it just isn't up to snuff. But yeah, and obviously Satisfactory. It's been out for a long time, but a lot of love for that game as well.
There's
Mhm.
a lot of weirdos with that game at their number one spot.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure. Coming in at ninth place, which bring a lot of joy to a lot of people on the Discord, is Mini Shoot Adventure, the little
Yeah.
top-down twin stick shooter Zelda-like, which seems like a strange combination, but supposedly it just works wonders. So
That's
Yeah.
what I've heard.
I'm gonna have to give it a go at some point. But
Mhm.
shout out.
It definitely makes you feel like any burgeoning indie developer should definitely just put like common genres and like staple game franchises like
Yeah,
Zelda
just
in like a
mush 'em.
randomizer and just
Yeah,
like see
yeah.
what they get and just go for it,
That's the only thing I do feel bad for Thunderful Games because
Yeah.
they did that. Like they've done so much community stuff, but sometimes it backfires. And that Hand of Gilgamesh was one
Yeah.
of those backfires where it was like, do you want to like what sort of thing would you like from our next game? And they put it out on Twitter and it was like, oh, RPG and like roguelike, deck
And they
builder
were like,
came
why
up
not
the
both?
top, and they just mushed them together. It just didn't quite
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah. It's pretty average.
But good on them for trying, I guess.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So yeah, Miniature Adventure number 9, and now again we get to be the arbiter because our 7th and 8th spot are tied again. So I've got to be in a position, and I'll see if anyone thinks it's different. But we have I currently have Space Marine 2 at number 7 and Persona 3 Reload at number 8. Would anyone like to flip that?
Nope.
No, I
I'm
think
good
it
on
sounds
that
fine.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not played either game, so
Yeah,
I
obviously,
just
like,
I'm not a Persona person. I've watched it. I'm
Mhm.
glad people enjoy it. So
Mhm.
that's
yeah,
why I lean more towards Space Marines.
Yeah.
100%. And I also lean more towards it because it's like Persona 3 is just a remake, and like it's not like
Mm.
I don't think it's like breaking the mold on a remake. It's just a really, really good game with really fantastic music
Just
and
know
good
he'll
characters, which
cry
Persona's
when he
always
listens
been.
to this.
I
Shout out to Brendan because he was my brother in arms for Metaphor, and we both came out of that with PTSD. And he was like, "Persona 3 Reload is just better than
Yeah.
Metaphor." So
Yeah. But yeah, I think we do
You know,
deserve to go to a newer game. So Space Marine 2.
you know
It's
though,
good to.
shout out to the Metaphor team though, because they put out a beefy long demo. So I had enough time to put like 10 hours into that game and realize,
yeah,
okay, this is not for me. I see why people like it, but it's not for me. I love that. Give me
I
beefy
weirdly
demos
put
like that.
12 hours in the demo and absolutely loved it, and then hated it by the end of the game. So
And if we stretch all definitions to the utmost, like we can say that because Space Marine 2 is on the list, like we've got an Xbox game because we've got a Gears of War game on the
Yeah.
list, which also means we've got an Epic game. So Jonah's happy because we've got a Fortnite game on the list as well.
What?
Well, Epic made Gears of War.
Originally, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I
like as I
guess.
said, I'm stretching the definition. And above that at number 6, so we got so Persona 3 Reload number 8, well done. Space Marine 2 at number 7. Number 6 to the very again divided experience of
Mm.
like whether it's amazing, whether it's deep, whether it's just jank. Dragon's Dogma 2. I think that's a good
Yeah.
spot. Number 6.
Yeah.
I do like that. Whereas again, from how Caden was just praising it, at number 5, Unicorn Overlord, just a more solid experience overall. And
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's really cool to be in the top half of that 10. Number 4, I do feel I feel bad for the diehards here who are just like this is the number 1 and no other game should be anywhere close to it. But as I've heard from so many discussions everywhere, it's like it's either number 1 on people's list or it doesn't show up on their list, and that is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah.
And it was quite close, and only with like our own adding our own lists to this list did it come down, because it like when I was first counting up the tally, like it has a lot of 5s. It's like a heap of people's number 1 game. Just didn't quite have enough of those little bonus points to get it over the line. So top 3. So with the bronze medal for this year, 2024 GGD GOTY list, Helldivers 2. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And really, really close too. I'm talking, it is 1 point behind our number 2. So that's how like everyone just had a good time with it, which is good. And yeah, you can tell like it was so popular at the start of the end. I just think everyone played this game, like as much as Balatro, like so many people played this game. And then yeah, again, so this is the surprise. This is the awesome part of our list, and I really, really like our top 10 list and how it laid out. And number 2 is the game that got all the GOTYs. It's Astrobot.
Nice.
Which is really, really cool. Like, absolutely fantastic game. It's a perfect little platformer. No complaints around the board from most people. But edging it out, and this was literally because Jonah put his votes in last, is Balatro. Congratulations, Balatro. Congratulations to the devs, and man, what a good game. And I just made me smile when I was tallying up the votes, and like then Jonah added in his in, and I'm like, oh, I moved this around because it was Astrobot. And then yeah, Balatro just bumped up the list and got in there. So that's really good. I like
well
that.
deserved.
Do y'all think the Belatro Twitter is gonna put this up on their Twitter?
That'd be sick.
Voted number one game of the year.
Look at that.
I can shout Wout out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
hey,
wow.
GGD
Yeah, that's it. Hit it.
game of the
Hit
year.
us up. Get the quote GGD. Yeah,
Put it on the
game of the
put
year.
it on the cover, dude. Let's make
Yeah,
the sticker.
put it on the physical.
Yeah, we get the icon.
Yeah. But yeah, like I do think it's the Tetris of the year, man. It's one of those perfect little.
It is a
games.
perfect video game.
Yeah.
100%.
It's going to be like Skyrim, where they're just going to port it to everything for like the next 10 years, and everybody's going to buy it on every platform it comes out.
And the creator's going to be rich for the rest of his days.
Yeah. That's just always a good feeling to know that somewhere out there's a struggling like solo dev who probably lives in his parents' basement or whatever, and he's just an overnight millionaire, doesn't have to worry about money ever again.
I think in December they had pushed out 3.5 million copies sold, and then this week they hit 5 million copies.
Damn. And that's good. I'm pretty sure
That's crazy.
And the good thing is that they've kept most of that like revenue, because I think they've only done like 10% sales so far, which is really good for the dev.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you go further down the line, you see those 50% sales, and it's like that's obviously keeping the lights on, but not helping them that much. But that's awesome for that studio.
Yeah.
Sick. Well, all right. Thank you so much again to our community, and that's been our GOTY episode. It's time for final thoughts. So, Jonah is the godfather of the debate. Why don't you start us off with your final thoughts?
Final thoughts are thank you to the community and to our patrons. You guys are freaking awesome. Excited for 2025. We've got a lot of changes and stuff that are going to be happening. So just expect different kinds of content, different kinds of podcasts, and yeah, we're just gonna mix things up, make things feel a little bit more fresh and fun. I'm excited for it.
Awesome. All right, Steven, final thoughts.
Brain empty. No, just I'm glad that we got to do this catch up episode, because it was, when we all lead very busy lives, it's good to catch up and get this stuff away, because it would have been unfortunate if we had missed it. So I'm glad we got there.
We did it. All right, Mateo, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Yeah, I'm excited for the stuff we're gonna make in 2025. I think we've got some fun ideas. Y'all stay tuned. We've got some fun stuff coming, I think.
Hell yeah. My final thoughts are, I just want to again just shout out to the community, because like I literally, I really curbed my gaming this year just by being a father and not having time to game, plus not having as much disposable income. And I think I mentioned it before, but I bought like 2 games, and like the rest of everything else I played this game were gifts from other people, including these fine gentlemen here and Wes. So really appreciate that, you guys. It's just cool to be part of a community. And my final thought is, I've been watching that show Scavenger's Reign. I'm on the last episode, and it's just it's amazing. It's like the best thing I've watched. Please watch it if you're into sci-fi at all. It's just crazy as hell. Yeah. So
Here's the 2025.
2025, y'all.
All right, have a game. Bye.
Bye.
As always, a big thank you to our friend Misdriven for the music in our podcast. If you like what you hear and you want to check out more of what they have, you can pay them a visit on Twitter at MISTRIVEN719 or on Bandcamp at Misdriven. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time.
All right. Guess what, guys? I got a pee-pee. I'm gonna go pee-pee now.
Oh, shit.
I think Caden's been talking to his son too much.
Got a pee-pee.
I gotta go pee.